You're going to pretend to be my boyfriend, and I'll pay you $20,000. Lucas Hayes stared at the woman standing in his garage. Designer heels on oil-stained concrete, diamond earrings catching the flicker of dying fluorescent lights. She didn't belong here, not in his world of overdue bills and broken transmissions. But desperation has no address. Her name was Isabella Vaughn, and she wasn't asking. She was offering him an escape he couldn't afford to refuse. Stay with me until the end. Hit that like button and comment your city below so I can see how far this story travels. The wrench slipped. Lucas cursed under his breath as his knuckles scraped against the undercarriage of the 2004 Honda Civic suspended above him. Blood welled up along the knuckle, mixing with the black grease already caked into the creases of his hands. He didn't bother wiping it off. There wasn't time for that kind of luxury. "Daddy?" The small voice cut through the mechanical hum of the garage. Lucas rolled out from under the car on the creeper, his lower back screaming in protest. Mia stood in the doorway connecting the garage to their cramped apartment above. Her stuffed rabbit dangling from one hand, her other hand rubbing sleep from her eyes. "Hey, baby girl. What are you doing up?" "I had a bad dream." Lucas pushed himself to his feet, joints popping like firecrackers. 32 wasn't supposed to feel like 50, but his body hadn't gotten the memo. He wiped his hands on a rag that was probably dirtier than his palms and crossed to his daughter. "Come here." She shuffled forward, and he knelt down, ignoring the protest from his knees. Up close, he could see the worry creasing her forehead, the same expression her mother used to make back before the accident, back when life still had room for things like hope. "What was the dream about?" "You went away," Mia whispered, "and didn't come back." Something twisted in Lucas's chest. He pulled her into a hug, careful not to get grease on her pajamas. "I'm not going anywhere, Mia, I promise." "That's what Mommy said." The words landed like a punch. Lucas closed his eyes, breathing in the scent of strawberry shampoo and laundry detergent. 3 years. 3 years since Sarah's car had slid on black ice and wrapped around a telephone pole. 3 years of learning how to be both parents at once. 3 years of not being enough. "I know, sweetheart, but I mean it. You're stuck with me." She pulled back, searching his face with those big brown eyes that saw too much. Then she nodded, apparently satisfied. "Can I have water?" "Of course you can." He stood, taking her hand, and led her through the garage toward the apartment stairs. The clock on the wall read 11:47 p.m. In 13 minutes, it would be Thursday. In 13 minutes, he'd officially have 48 hours to come up with next month's rent or start packing their things. The thought sat in his stomach like a stone. Upstairs, the apartment was a study in making do. Secondhand furniture, toys from yard sales. A kitchen table with one leg shorter than the others, propped up with folded cardboard. Lucas had painted Mia's room himself, pale yellow, because she'd said it looked like sunshine. His own room barely counted as one. A mattress on the floor, clothes in cardboard boxes, an alarm clock that had stopped working 2 months ago. He got Mia her water and walked her back to bed, tucking the covers around her small frame. "Daddy? Yeah? Are we poor?" The question shouldn't have surprised him. Kids were smarter than people gave them credit for. They noticed things, like how other kids got new backpacks at the start of school while Mia got her cousin's hand-me-down. Like how birthday parties meant homemade cake instead of trips to Chuck E. Cheese. "We're doing okay," Lucas said carefully. "Jenny at school said we're poor because you're just a mechanic." Just a mechanic. The words stung more than they should have. "Jenny doesn't know what she's talking about," Lucas said. "Being a mechanic is honest work, and honest work is nothing to be ashamed of." "Then why does she make fun of my shoes?" Lucas looked down at Mia's feet, poking out from under the blanket. The sneakers beside her bed had holes in the toes. He'd tried to patch them with duct tape, but duct tape only went so far. "Some people," he said slowly, "think money makes them better than other people. But it doesn't. You know what makes someone good?" "What?" "How they treat people who can't do anything for them." Mia considered this, then nodded. "Like how you fixed Mrs. Chen's car for free when her husband got sick?" "Exactly like that. Jenny's mom drives a BMW. I bet her BMW breaks down just like every other car." That got a small smile. Lucas kissed her forehead and stood. "Get some sleep, okay? School tomorrow." "Okay. Love you, Daddy." Love you too, baby girl. He pulled the door mostly closed, leaving it cracked the way she liked, and headed back downstairs. The Honda still needed another hour of work if he wanted to have it done by morning. Mr. Patterson was picking it up at 8, and Mr. Patterson was one of the few customers who actually paid on time. Lucas was halfway across the garage when the door chime rang. He froze. Nobody came to the garage at midnight. Not unless something was seriously wrong. His mind immediately went to worst-case scenarios. Police, child services, someone here to tell him his time was up. Instead, when he opened the door, he found a woman. Not just any woman. She stood on his doorstep like she'd stepped out of a magazine, the kind they sold at airport terminals with titles like Luxury Living or Elite. Her coat probably cost more than his truck. Her heels clicked against concrete like a countdown, and when she looked at him, her eyes were the color of whiskey in low light. Lucas Hayes? Her voice matched the rest of her, smooth, expensive, used to getting what it wanted. Who's asking? My name is Isabella Vaughn. She extended a hand. Lucas looked down at his own palms, still streaked with grease despite the rag. I'm gonna ruin your manicure. I'll survive. He shook her hand. Her grip was firm, confident, the handshake of someone who closed deals and didn't take no for an answer. What can I do for you, Ms. Vaughn? Can I come in? Lucas glanced back at the garage, the mess of tools, the oil stains, the flickering lights that he kept meaning to replace. Not exactly the Ritz. It's kind of a disaster in here. I'm not here for a tour. Something in her tone made him step aside. She walked past him, those heels clicking against concrete, and surveyed the space with the clinical assessment of someone used to evaluating property. You live here? Above it. Apartment upstairs. She nodded, still looking around. Lucas closed the door and waited. This woman hadn't shown up at midnight to talk about real estate. I need your help, she said finally. Car trouble? No. She turned to face him. I need you to pretend to be my boyfriend this weekend. Lucas blinked. Then he laughed. A short, sharp bark of disbelief. Is this a prank? Did Tommy put you up to this? I don't know who Tommy is. Then I'm sorry, but I think you've got the wrong guy. You're Lucas Hayes, 32, single father, owner of Hayes Auto Repair, which is currently 3 months behind on commercial lease payments and facing possible eviction. Your daughter Mia attends Lincoln Elementary. You owe $4,200 to the IRS for last year's taxes, and another $1,800 to the bank for a loan you took out to repair your transmission lift. The words landed like slaps. Lucas felt his jaw tighten. Who the hell are you? I already told you. Isabella Vaughn. That's a name, not an answer. She reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope, thick, cream-colored paper, the kind that meant money. She held it out. There's $20,000 in here, cash. It's yours if you agree to accompany me to a family event this weekend and play the role of my boyfriend. Lucas stared at the envelope. $20,000. That was rent for 6 months. New shoes for Mia, fixing the damn lights in the garage, maybe even hiring someone part-time so he could actually sleep once in a while. This is insane. This is business. Why me? Because you're real. She said it simply, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. Everyone in my life is connected to my world somehow. They want something from me, or they're afraid of me, or they're trying to use me. You don't know who I am. You don't care about my money or my name. That makes you valuable. I've got a daughter. I know. I can't just leave her for a weekend. The event is Saturday night. One evening. I'll have you back by Sunday morning. And what exactly does playing boyfriend involve? Stand beside me. Look reasonably presentable. Make it seem like I'm not alone. That's it? That's it. Lucas looked at the envelope again. $20,000. Life-changing money. Stupid to even consider turning it down. So why did every instinct tell him to run? What aren't you telling me? He asked. Something flickered across Isabella's face. Surprise, maybe, or respect. She'd expected him to grab the money and agree. The fact that he hadn't seemed to shift something in her assessment of him. My father died 6 months ago, she said. He left me in control of his company, Vaughn Industries. It's worth approximately $3.2 billion. Lucas whistled low. Billion with a B? Billion with a B, and there are people who don't think I should have it. Family? among others. This weekend is the annual Vaughn Foundation Gala. It's the first major event since my father's death. If I show up alone, I look weak, vulnerable, like I can't handle the pressure, like I need help. But showing up with a boyfriend makes you look strong. It makes me look like I have my personal life together, like I'm not falling apart. Appearances matter in my world, Mr. Hayes. Lucas. Lucas. She repeated his name like she was testing how it felt. So, do we have a deal? He should say no. Everything about this screamed complication. Rich people didn't hand out $20,000 without strings attached. There would be consequences he couldn't predict, variables he couldn't control. But Mia's shoes had holes in them, and the rent was due in 48 hours. I need to think about it. Isabella's expression didn't change, but something in her posture shifted. Disappointment, maybe, or calculation. I need an answer by tomorrow afternoon. After that, I'll find someone else. She pulled a card from her purse and set it on his workbench. Embossed letters, gold trim. The kind of business card that cost more to print than most people's weekly groceries. My number, call me when you decide. She walked to the door, then paused with her hand on the handle. For what it's worth, she said, not looking back, you're the first person I've met in 6 months who hasn't immediately said yes. That tells me something. What does it tell you? That you actually think before you make decisions. In my experience, that's rare. The door chime rang as she left, and then Lucas was alone in his garage with a business card that felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. He picked it up, simple design, just a name and a number, no title, no company. Like she was so important that stating her credentials would be redundant, $20,000. He thought about Mia's dream, about her asking if they were poor, about the way she'd looked at him, searching for reassurance he wasn't sure he could give. Lucas tucked the card into his pocket and went back to the Honda. Work didn't care about moral dilemmas. Morning came too fast. Lucas had finished the Honda at 2 a.m., stumbled upstairs, and collapsed onto his mattress still wearing his coveralls. When the neighbor's rooster, since his actual alarm was broken, crowed at 6:30, he felt like he'd been run over by the very cars he spent his life fixing. Mia was already awake, sitting at the kitchen table with a bowl of off-brand cereal and a library book about dolphins. Morning, baby girl. Morning, Daddy. You got grease on your face. Lucas rubbed his cheek. His hand came away black. Story of my life. He made coffee, the cheap instant kind that tasted like burnt water, and scrambled eggs while Mia read facts about marine mammals. The normalcy of it all felt surreal after last night. Had Isabella Vaughn actually stood in his garage and offered him $20,000? Or had he dreamed the whole thing? Then he touched his pocket and felt the business card. Not a dream. Daddy, did you know dolphins sleep with one eye open? I did not know that. It's so they can watch for predators. They're never fully asleep. Lucas plated the eggs and set them in front of her. Sounds exhausting. They're very smart, though. Smarter than most animals. Smarter than your old man? Mia giggled. You're not old. Tell that to my back. He sat across from her with his coffee, watching her eat. She'd started reading chapter books this year. Real ones, with small print and no pictures. Her teacher said she was advanced for her age. Lucas didn't know if that was true or just something teachers told parents, but he was proud anyway. What are you going to do today? Mia asked. Work. Got 3 cars coming in. Can I help after school? Homework first. I don't have homework. Then yes, you can help. She smiled, the kind of smile that made everything else fade into background noise. Lucas would work 100 midnight shifts if it meant keeping that smile intact. After breakfast, he walked her to the bus stop 2 blocks away. Other parents were there too, clustered in small groups, talking about PTA meetings and soccer practice. Lucas hung back. He'd learned early on that single dads occupied a weird space in parent social circles. Not quite trusted, not quite included. The bus arrived. Mia hugged him goodbye and climbed aboard, waving from a window seat. Lucas waved back until the bus turned the corner and disappeared. Then he pulled out Isabella's card. The logical part of his brain knew this was a terrible idea. Rich people didn't do favors for poor people without expecting something in return. There would be complications, expectations, probably some kind of catch he wouldn't see coming until it was too late. But the desperate part of his brain, the part that had been running on fumes for 3 years, kept seeing that envelope full of cash. $20,000. He could pay off his debts, fix the garage properly, maybe even hire Tommy full-time instead of just weekends. Take some pressure off. Breathe a little easier. And all he had to do was stand next to a beautiful woman for one evening and pretend to be her boyfriend. When he put it like that, it sounded almost reasonable. Lucas pulled out his phone, a cracked screen model that was probably older than some of the kids in Mia's class, and dialed the number on the card. She answered on the second ring. Hayes Auto Repair. This is Lucas. I know who you are. Isabella's voice was crisp. All business. Have you made a decision? I've got questions first. Ask. What happens if someone figures out we're faking it? They won't. How can you be sure? Because I'm very good at what I do, and you don't strike me as someone who lies often. Natural liars are easy to spot. Honest people who are trying to lie, much more convincing. Lucas wasn't sure if that was a compliment or an insult. What about my daughter? What about her? I'm not leaving her for a weekend with strangers. I'm not asking you to. I told you. It's one evening, Saturday night. I'll arrange for a babysitter, someone vetted and trustworthy. You'll be home by midnight. Like Cinderella. Excuse me? Never mind. Bad joke. Lucas rubbed his jaw. What do I have to wear? I'll provide appropriate clothing. What size are you? 42 jacket, 34 waist, 12 shoe. Fine. Anything else? Yeah, about 1,000 things. But they all boiled down to one question. Why does this matter so much to you? Silence on the other end. For a moment, Lucas thought she'd hung up. Then, because I spent my whole life watching my father build something from nothing. He came from a town smaller than yours with less money than you have, and he turned it into an empire. And now people who never risked anything, who never sacrificed anything, think they can take it away because I'm young or female or not ruthless enough. So yes, Mr. Hayes, it matters. It matters a great deal. The raw honesty in her voice caught him off guard. This wasn't the polished businesswoman from last night. This was someone angry, someone fighting, someone who reminded him of himself. Okay, he said. Okay? I'll do it. Another pause. Just like that? Just like that. But I've got conditions. Such as? The babysitter meets me and Mia ahead of time. I'm not leaving my daughter with someone I haven't vetted myself. Agreed. And I get half the money up front, the other half after. That's not how this works. Then we don't have a deal. He heard her exhale, a soft sound of frustration. Fine. 10,000 up front, 10,000 after. Deal. I'll have someone drop off the first payment this afternoon, along with your clothes for Saturday. The event starts at 7. I'll send a car for you at 6. I can drive myself. In what? That truck I saw parked outside your garage? What's wrong with my truck? Nothing, if we were going mudding, but we're attending a gala at the Chamberlain estate. You'll arrive in a car that matches the occasion. Lucas bit back a retort. Pick your battles, his dad used to say. This wasn't a hill worth dying on. Fine. 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock, Isabella confirmed. And Lucas? Yeah? Thank you. She hung up before he could respond. Lucas stood there on the sidewalk, phone in hand, wondering what the hell he'd just agreed to. Behind him, a dog barked. A car backfired. Life in his neighborhood continued like he hadn't just made a deal with a billionaire. He pocketed the phone and headed back to the garage. Work didn't care about existential crises. The afternoon brought 3 customers, 2 of whom actually paid. Lucas was under a Chevy Tahoe replacing brake pads when he heard the door chime again. Be right with you, he called. Take your time. The voice was male, smooth, professional. Lucas rolled out from under the Tahoe and found a man in a black suit standing in his garage like a Secret Service agent who'd taken a wrong turn. Lucas Hayes? That's me. The man held out a briefcase. Delivery from Ms. Vaughn. Lucas stood, wiping his hands. The briefcase looked like it cost more than his truck. She really sent a courier? Ms. Vaughn is very particular about her arrangements. The man set the briefcase on the workbench. The code is 1987. Inside, you'll find your payment and your attire for Saturday evening. Ms. Vaughn suggests trying everything on to ensure proper fit. If there are any issues, call the number inside. That's it? That's it. The man nodded once, a gesture so precise it looked rehearsed, and walked back out to a black town car idling at the curb. Lucas stared at the briefcase. 1987. He punched in the code. The locks clicked open with a sound that probably cost extra. Inside, wrapped in tissue paper, was a tuxedo. Not a rental, not off the rack. This was the kind of formal wear that came with its own insurance policy. Black jacket, white shirt, silk bow tie. Even cufflinks. Actual silver cufflinks with some kind of engraved design. Beneath the tuxedo was an envelope. Lucas opened it. $10,000 in $100 bills. He'd never seen that much cash in one place in his entire life. The weight of it felt obscene. Wrong. Like he was holding someone else's life savings. But it was his now. He counted it twice to be sure. 100 hundreds, $10,000. Half of what Isabella had promised. Lucas sat down on his work stool and stared at the money. This was real. This was actually happening. In 2 days, he was going to put on a tuxedo that probably cost more than his truck and pretend to be the boyfriend of a billionaire heiress. Daddy? He jumped, nearly dropping the cash. Mia stood in the doorway, backpack over one shoulder, looking at him curiously. Hey, baby girl, didn't hear the bus. It just got here. She walked over, eyeing the briefcase. What's that? Work stuff. Looks like a lot of money. Lucas quickly closed the envelope and set it back in the briefcase. It is. Someone paid me for a big job. What kind of job? Good question. What kind of job indeed? Complicated one. Hey, you hungry? Always. Go upstairs and start your homework. I'll be up in a minute to make snacks. Mia looked at the briefcase one more time, then shrugged and headed for the stairs. Kids were adaptable like that. They accepted weird explanations because their whole world was weird explanations. Lucas waited until he heard her footsteps overhead, then locked the briefcase and tucked it under his workbench. Out of sight. Out of mind. Except it wasn't out of mind. All through dinner, mac and cheese from a box, Mia's favorite, he kept thinking about the money. About what it meant. About the fact that he'd essentially sold his weekend to a stranger. After dinner, while Mia watched a nature documentary about penguins, Lucas tried on the tuxedo in his bedroom. It fit perfectly. Of course it fit perfectly. Isabella had asked his sizes and probably sent them to some tailor who charged more per hour than Lucas made in a week. The jacket sat on his shoulders like it had been built there. The pants broke at exactly the right point on his shoes. Even the shirt fit, crisp white fabric that didn't pull or bunch. Lucas looked at himself in the mirror. He barely recognized the man staring back. This wasn't Lucas Hayes, mechanic. This wasn't Lucas Hayes, single dad. This was someone else. Someone who belonged at charity galas and estate parties. Someone who fit in Isabella Vaughn's world. The illusion was so complete it made him uncomfortable. He changed back into his jeans and t-shirt, carefully hanging the tuxedo in his closet. Then he went back to the living room and sat on the couch next to Mia. These are emperor penguins, she said, not looking away from the screen. They can dive deeper than any other bird. How deep? Over 1,800 feet. That's pretty deep. And they can hold their breath for 20 minutes. Lucas watched the penguins on screen, black and white birds sliding across ice, diving into freezing water, somehow surviving in one of the harshest environments on Earth. They're tough, Mia added. The narrator said they're the toughest birds in the world. Yeah, Lucas said quietly. I bet they are. On screen, an emperor penguin dove into dark water and disappeared from view. Lucas knew exactly how that felt. Saturday arrived like an uninvited guest. Lucas woke before dawn, his stomach already twisting itself into knots. The tuxedo hung in his closet like a uniform for a job he wasn't qualified for. He'd spent the past 2 days trying not to think about it, keeping busy with oil changes and brake jobs, but now there was nowhere left to hide. Mia was still asleep when he started coffee. The apartment was quiet except for the hiss of the ancient radiator and the distant sound of traffic. Lucas sat at the kitchen table with his phone, scrolling through the limited information he could find about Isabella Vaughn. There wasn't much. A few mentions in business journals. A photograph from last year's gala, her standing next to an older man who had to be her father. The same eyes. The same set to her jaw. In the photo, they both looked untouchable. Lucas closed the browser and set his phone down. What the hell was he doing? The money was already spent, at least mentally. He'd paid the rent yesterday, walked into the landlord's office, and handed over 3 months in cash. The look on Mr. Kowalski's face had been worth it alone. Then he'd gone to the bank and made a payment on the loan, set aside money for Mia's school supplies, put some in savings, though savings was generous for the shoebox under his mattress. But the relief he'd expected to feel never came. Instead, there was just this gnawing sense that he'd made a deal he didn't fully understand. Mia wandered out around 7, rubbing her eyes. "Morning, Daddy." "Morning, baby girl." "Are you nervous about your thing tonight?" Lucas looked at her. She was too perceptive for 8. "Little bit." "Is it like a date?" He'd told her he was helping someone with a work event. Not technically a lie, but not technically the truth either. "Sort of. It's for a client. The lady who came here the other night. You saw her?" Mia climbed onto a chair. "I heard the door." "I looked out my window. She was really pretty." "Yeah, well, she's a client." "Do you like her?" "I don't know her." "But do you think she's pretty?" Lucas poured cereal into a bowl and set it in front of his daughter. "Eat your breakfast." Mia grinned like she'd won something and dug into her cereal. The babysitter arrived at noon. Lucas had been expecting someone young, a college kid looking to make extra money. Instead, the woman who knocked on his door was in her 50s, with gray-streaked hair pulled into a practical bun and the no-nonsense demeanor of someone who'd raised multiple children and lived to tell about it. "Mr. Hayes, I'm Margaret Chen." "Mrs. Chen? From down the street?" "The same," she smiled. "Ms. Vaughn contacted me through the community center. She was very thorough in her screening process." Lucas felt something unknot in his chest. Mrs. Chen had lived in the neighborhood for 20 years. Her husband had died last winter, cancer, and Lucas had fixed her car for free when she couldn't afford the shop rate. If Isabella had somehow tracked that down and hired her specifically— "Come in," he said. Mrs. Chen stepped inside, taking in the small apartment with the kind of look that saw everything but judged nothing. Mia appeared from her room, clutching her stuffed rabbit. "Hi," Mia said shyly. "Hello, dear. You must be Mia. I've heard wonderful things about you." "From who?" "From your father, mostly, and from Mrs. Patterson at the library." Mia's eyes lit up. "You know Mrs. Patterson?" "I volunteer there on Thursdays." Just like that, Mia was chattering about the Dolphin book and the new series she wanted to read, and Lucas felt the last of his worry ease. Mrs. Chen wasn't some stranger. She was a neighbor, someone he could trust. "We'll be just fine," Mrs. Chen said, meeting his eyes. "You go do what you need to do. I should be back by midnight. Take your time. Mia and I are going to have a wonderful evening, aren't we, dear?" Mia nodded enthusiastically. Lucas knelt down in front of his daughter. "You be good, okay? I'm always good. And if you need anything, Daddy, I'll be fine. Mrs. Chen brought cards. We're going to play Go Fish." He kissed her forehead and stood. Mrs. Chen walked him to the door. "She's a lovely child," she said quietly. "Yeah, she is. And you're a good father. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." The words hit harder than they should have. Lucas nodded, not trusting his voice, and headed downstairs. The car arrived at 6 o'clock exactly. Lucas had changed into the tuxedo, forcing himself through each piece like armor before battle. The bow tie had taken 10 YouTube tutorials, and he still wasn't sure it looked right. The cufflinks felt strange on his wrists. The shoes pinched his feet. He looked in the mirror one last time. A stranger stared back. The knock on the garage door was sharp and professional. Lucas grabbed his jacket, his real jacket, the worn canvas one, before remembering he couldn't exactly show up to a gala in that, and headed down. The car was a black Mercedes. Sleek, expensive, the kind of vehicle that didn't come with a payment plan. The driver stood beside it, holding the rear door open. "Mr. Hayes? That's me. Ms. Vaughn is waiting." Lucas slid into the back seat and immediately felt out of place. The interior smelled like leather and money. Classical music played softly from hidden speakers, and sitting across from him, looking like she'd been born in evening wear, was Isabella. She wore a dress that was probably worth more than his truck and his garage combined. Deep blue.
almost black. Simple cut. No jewelry except small diamond earrings. Her hair was pulled back, showing the sharp lines of her face.
"You clean up well," she said.
Thanks. I think. How's your daughter?
"She's fine. Mrs. Chen's with her."
Good. I'm glad that worked out. The car pulled away from the curb and Lucas watched his neighborhood slide past the tinted windows. He'd lived here for 6 years, knew every pothole, every broken streetlight. From inside this car, it all looked different, smaller.
"Nervous?" Isabella asked.
Little bit. Don't be. Just follow my lead and we'll be fine.
"What exactly am I supposed to do?" "Stand next to me. Smile when appropriate. If anyone asks how we met, tell them I brought my car to your garage. You drive a car that needs fixing? I drive a 1967 Shelby GT 500. It always needs something." Lucas whistled. "That's a hell of a car." "My father's. He left it to me." Something in her voice made him look closer. She was staring out the window, her expression carefully neutral. Too neutral. "You miss him," Lucas said. "Not a question. Every day."
How'd he die?
"Heart attack? He was giving a speech at a board meeting and just collapsed, gone before the ambulance arrived." "I'm sorry." "So is everyone. They're very sorry, very concerned, and very eager to take what he built." The bitterness in her voice was sharp enough to cut. Lucas recognized it. He'd heard it in his own voice 3 years ago, standing in a hospital corridor while a doctor explained that his wife hadn't survived the surgery. "Family?" he asked. "Cousins? Uncles? People who smiled at my father's funeral and filed lawsuits 2 weeks later." Isabella turned from the window. "The company bylaws state that controlling interest goes to direct descendants. My father was an only child, so it goes to me. But they're challenging the will, claiming he wasn't in his right mind when he made his final arrangements." "Was he sick?" "No, he was perfectly healthy until he wasn't." She paused. "They'll use anything. My age, my lack of experience, the fact that I spent the last 10 years working in the company's philanthropic division instead of the boardroom. Sounds like they're scared of you." "They should be." The confidence in those 3 words was absolute. Lucas almost smiled. "So what happens tonight?" "Tonight, I remind them that I'm not going anywhere, that I'm stable, capable, and completely in control of my life. A boyfriend helps with that image. Because single women are weak? Because single women who just lost their fathers look vulnerable. Fair or not, that's how they'll see it." Isabella met his eyes. "I need them to see strength." The car turned onto a tree-lined road. Mansions rose on either side like something out of a movie. Manicured lawns, iron gates, security cameras. "Jesus," Lucas muttered. "Welcome to my world." They passed through a gate, actual security guards checking a list, and up a winding driveway. The Chamberlain estate sprawled across what had to be 20 acres. The main house looked like it had been airlifted from European royalty. Lights blazed in every window. Cars lined the circular drive. Mercedes, BMWs, a Bentley, something Lucas didn't even recognize. The Mercedes stopped at the entrance. A valet in a white jacket opened Isabella's door. Another opened Lucas's. "Stay close," Isabella murmured as she stepped out. Lucas followed, trying not to gawk like a tourist. The entrance was marble, actual marble. A chandelier hung overhead that probably cost more than his entire block. People in tuxedos and gowns moved through the space like schools of expensive fish. Isabella linked her arm through his. The touch was casual, expected, but Lucas still felt it like an electric current. "Smile," she said softly. "You're supposed to be enjoying yourself." "Right, enjoying myself. Got it." They moved into the crowd. Immediately people noticed. Heads turned. Conversations paused. Lucas felt the weight of 100 evaluating stares. "Isabella." A woman approached, 60-something, dripping diamonds, wearing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Aunt Patricia." "Darling, we were worried you might not come." "Why would I miss it?" Patricia's gaze slid to Lucas. "And who is this?" "Patricia, this is Lucas Hayes." "Lucas, my Aunt Patricia." Lucas extended his hand. "Pleased to meet you." Patricia's handshake was limp, dismissive. "Hayes, I don't recognize the name." I'm a mechanic. Her eyebrows rose. How interesting. And how did you two meet? He fixed my car, Isabella said smoothly. We got to talking and discovered we had a lot in common. A mechanic and a CEO. How much could you possibly have in common? The condescension was thick enough to choke on. Lucas felt his jaw tighten, but Isabella's hand squeezed his arm gently. More than you'd think, Aunt Patricia. If you'll excuse us, I see the Hendersons across the room. They moved away before Patricia could respond. Sorry about her, Isabella said. She's always like that? Worse, usually. That was her being polite. They crossed the ballroom, because of course it was a ballroom, and Lucas tried not to feel like everyone was watching him, which they absolutely were. He caught fragments of conversation as they passed. Mechanic, apparently. Where did she find him? Clearly a statement of some kind. They're talking about me, Lucas said. Let them talk. That's the point. She stopped to greet a couple, the Hendersons, presumably, and Lucas shook hands and smiled and said very little. The husband was a banker. The wife ran a non-profit. They both looked at Lucas like he was an interesting museum exhibit. This happened 4 more times. Each introduction was the same, polite questions, thinly veiled judgment. Isabella deflecting with practiced ease while Lucas stood there feeling like a prop in someone else's play. By the 7th introduction, he was ready to walk out. I need a drink, he muttered when they finally had a moment alone. Bar's that way. Lucas made his way across the room, dodging conversations and avoiding eye contact. The bar was elaborate. Crystal glasses, top-shelf liquor, a bartender in a vest who looked like he'd trained at mixology school. Whiskey. Neat. The bartender poured without comment. Lucas took the glass and downed half of it in one swallow. The burn felt good. Real. Rough night? Lucas turned. A man stood next to him, early 40s, tuxedo that fit like a second skin, expression that suggested amusement. Something like that. Let me guess, first time at one of these things? That obvious? You look like you'd rather be anywhere else. I respect that. I'm Richard. Lucas. They shook hands. Richard ordered scotch. So how do you know the Vaughn family? Richard asked. I'm here with Isabella. Ah, the mysterious boyfriend. We've been hearing rumors. Already? This crowd loves gossip. It's basically currency. Richard took a sip of his scotch. Word is you're a mechanic. Word travels fast. And word also is that Isabella's family isn't thrilled about it. Lucas glanced at him. You friends with them? Hardly. I went to prep school with Isabella's cousin Marcus. Insufferable even then. I'm just here because my wife's on the foundation board. Richard gestured across the room to a woman in a red dress. That's her. She's much better at this than I am. Yeah, well, join the club. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment. Around them, the gala continued. Conversations about stock portfolios and vacation homes, laughter that sounded rehearsed. Can I give you some advice? Richard said. Sure. These people will try to make you feel small. It's what they do. But here's the thing, most of them inherited their money. They've never actually built anything. You fix cars, that's real work. Don't let them convince you otherwise. Lucas looked at him. Thanks. Don't mention it. Also, watch out for Marcus. He's the one in the gray suit by the pianist. He's been circling Isabella all night like a shark. Lucas followed Richard's gaze and spotted him. Tall, dark-haired, wearing an expression of barely concealed hostility. What's his problem? He thinks he should be running Vaughn Industries. He's probably right. He's been groomed for it his whole life. But Isabella's father didn't see it that way. So he's pissed. He's opportunistic. There's a difference. Richard finished his scotch. Good luck, Lucas. You're going to need it. He walked away before Lucas could respond. Lucas stood there, whiskey in hand, watching Marcus across the room. The cousin was talking to an older man, gesturing animatedly, but his eyes kept drifting to Isabella. Yeah, that was going to be a problem. Lucas made his way back across the ballroom. Isabella was talking to a group of women, all of them dripping jewelry and judgment. She spotted him and her expression shifted. Relief, maybe, or just good acting. Ladies, this is Lucas. More handshakes, more polite questions, more thinly veiled condescension. Then Marcus appeared. Isabella, wonderful to see you. Marcus. Her tone was carefully neutral. And this must be your guest. Marcus extended a hand to Lucas. His grip was just slightly too firm. Marcus Vaughn, Isabella's cousin. Lucas Hayes. So I've heard, a mechanic, correct? That's right. How fascinating. I don't think we've ever had someone from the trades at one of these events. The word trades came out like an insult. Lucas felt his jaw tighten. First time for everything, he said evenly. Indeed. Marcus turned to Isabella. I was hoping we could talk. Business matter. Tonight's not the time. It won't take long. Marcus, 5 minutes, please. Isabella's expression hardened, but she nodded. Excuse us, she said to Lucas. They moved to a quieter corner of the ballroom. Lucas watched them talk, or rather, watched Marcus talk, while Isabella listened with increasing tension in her shoulders. Whatever was being said, it wasn't good. Lucas drifted closer, not close enough to hear, but close enough to observe. Marcus was smiling, but it was the kind of smile that came with a knife. Isabella's responses were clipped, short. Then Marcus said something that made her go completely still. Lucas moved without thinking. He crossed the space between them and put a hand on Isabella's lower back. Everything okay? He asked. Marcus's smile widened. Just family business. Nothing to concern yourself with. If it concerns Isabella, it concerns me. How sweet. Tell me, Mr. Hayes, what do you know about corporate law? Not much. Then perhaps you should let the adults handle this conversation. Lucas felt anger spike hot in his chest, but before he could respond, Isabella spoke. We're done here, Marcus. Are we? Because I was just explaining to you how the board feels about recent developments. The board doesn't run the company. I do. For now. The threat was barely veiled. Marcus looked at Lucas, then back at Isabella. Think about what I said. You have until Monday. He walked away, disappearing into the crowd. Isabella stood there, her jaw clenched so tight Lucas could see the muscle jumping. You okay? He asked quietly. Fine. You're not fine. She turned to him, and for a second the mask slipped. He saw fury. And underneath that, fear. Not here, she said. I need air. She moved toward a set of French doors leading to a terrace. Lucas followed. Outside, the night was cool. The terrace overlooked gardens lit by subtle landscaping lights. Music and conversation drifted from inside, muffled by glass. Isabella walked to the railing and gripped it hard enough that her knuckles went white. What did he say? Lucas asked. That the board is meeting Monday to discuss a vote of no confidence. Can they do that? If they have enough votes, yes. And do they? I don't know, maybe. She turned to face him. Marcus has been working them for weeks, making calls, having dinners, planting doubts. About what? About me. About my ability to run the company. About whether I'm too young, too inexperienced, too emotional. The last word came out bitter. And now he's saying that showing up here with you was a mistake, that it makes me look desperate. Lucas felt something cold settle in his gut. So I made things worse. No, that's not... Isabella stopped, closed her eyes. This isn't your fault. Feels like it. Marcus was going to push for this vote regardless. He's been planning it since my father died. Showing up with you just gave him a convenient talking point. They stood in silence. From inside came the sound of a piano, something classical that Lucas didn't recognize. Why are they so determined to get rid of you? He asked. Because I'm not one of them. I didn't go to the right schools, didn't network at the right clubs. Spent 10 years working with nonprofits instead of climbing the corporate ladder. My father understood that experience was valuable. The board doesn't. Your father sounds like he was smart. He was. He built Vaughn Industries from nothing, started with one construction company and turned it into a conglomerate, real estate, manufacturing, tech investments. He understood that business isn't just about profit, it's about people. And the board doesn't see it that way. The board sees quarterly earnings, stock prices, Marcus included. She paused. My father knew I wasn't ready to run the company. Not completely. That's why he set up a transition period, 5 years where I'd learn from the existing leadership while maintaining controlling interest. It was supposed to give me time to prove myself. But they're not giving you time. No, they're not. Lucas leaned against the railing next to her. Inside, people were dancing now, couples moving across the floor in synchronized patterns. So what happens Monday? I fight. I present my case to the board and hope enough of them remember that my father chose me for a reason. And if they don't? Isabella was quiet for a long moment. Then I lose everything he built. The weight of it hung in the air between them. Lucas thought about his garage, about the years he'd spent keeping it running on hope and duct tape. It wasn't a multi-billion-dollar company, but it was his. The idea of someone taking it away made his chest tight. "Can I ask you something?" he said. "Sure." "Why does it matter so much? I mean, you're already rich. You could sell, take the money, do whatever you want." Isabella looked at him like he'd suggested she sell her soul. "Because it's not about the money. It's about finishing what my father started, about proving that I'm capable, about not letting people like Marcus win just because they think they deserve it more." Her voice was fierce. "And because there are 30,000 people who work for Vaughn Industries, people with families, people who depend on those jobs. If the board takes over, they'll slash budgets, cut positions, maximize profit at the expense of everything else. I won't let that happen." Lucas studied her face. There was no performance here, no pretense. This was real conviction. "Okay," he said. "Okay, what?" "I'll help however I can." "You've already done what I asked." "Yeah, but it's not working, is it? Marcus is using me against you." "That's not your fault." "Maybe not. But I'm here anyway, so let's make it count." Isabella searched his face. "What are you suggesting?" "I don't know yet, but there's got to be something." Lucas straightened. "What does the board care about?" "Stability, competence, leadership." "Then that's what we show them." "How?" Lucas thought for a moment. "Marcus is saying you look desperate, right? That bringing me makes you seem weak?" "Yes." "So we flip the narrative. We make it look like you're so confident, so in control, that you don't care what they think. You're living your life, running your company, and dating whoever the hell you want because you can." Isabella's lips quirked, almost a smile. "Bold strategy." "You got a better one?" "Not currently." "Then let's go back in there and make them believe it." They stood there for another moment, the night air cool against their skin. From inside came laughter and music and the sound of people who'd never worried about rent or grocery money. "Thank you," Isabella said quietly. "For what?" "For not looking at me like I'm crazy. You're not crazy. You're just trying to protect something you care about. I get that." She held his gaze. For a second, Lucas saw something shift in her expression. Surprise, maybe, or recognition. Then she straightened, smoothed her dress, and became the CEO again. "Shall we?" They walked back inside together. The rest of the gala passed in a blur of introductions and champagne and carefully maintained appearances. Lucas stayed close to Isabella, playing the role of supportive boyfriend with increasing ease. When Patricia made another snide comment, he smiled and deflected. When Marcus tried to corner Isabella again, Lucas inserted himself into the conversation until the cousin gave up and walked away. By 11 o'clock, Lucas's feet hurt and his face hurt from smiling, and he wanted nothing more than to be back in his garage wearing coveralls instead of a tuxedo. But Isabella seemed steadier, more grounded, and that felt like something. They said their goodbyes to the hosts, some society couple whose names Lucas immediately forgot, and made their way to the car. The Mercedes was waiting, engine running, driver ready. Isabella slid in first. Lucas followed. The door closed, sealing them in leather and silence. "You did well," Isabella said. "I stood there and smiled." "You did more than that. You didn't let them intimidate you. That's rare. They're just people. Tell that to the 100 guests who spent the night trying to impress them." The car pulled away from the estate. Lucas watched the mansion recede in the side mirror until it disappeared behind trees. "What happens now?" he asked. "Now we wait for Monday. I'll prepare my case for the board, gather evidence, make calls." "You need help with any of that?" Isabella looked at him. "You've already done enough." "That's not what I asked." She was quiet for a moment. Then, "There might be something, but it would require more time, more involvement than what we agreed to." "I'm listening." "Monday's meeting is at 10 a.m. If I walk in alone, it reinforces Marcus's narrative. But if I walk in with you, If it looks like my personal life is stable enough that my boyfriend is supporting me through this, it might shift the optics. Lucas considered, You want me to come to the meeting? Not into the meeting, just to the building. Maybe wait in my office. Be visible. And what about Mia? Monday's a school day. I can arrange for Mrs. Chen to take her to school and pick her up after, if that's acceptable. Lucas thought about his daughter, about the garage, about the fact that he'd already crossed several lines he'd sworn he wouldn't. But he also thought about Isabella standing on that terrace, gripping the railing hard enough to hurt, talking about 30,000 employees and her father's legacy. Okay, he said, I'll be there. You're sure? I'm sure. Isabella exhaled. Something like relief crossed her face. Thank you. They rode in silence for a while. The highway stretched out ahead, streetlights creating pools of yellow light. This late, traffic was sparse. Can I ask you something? Isabella said. Sure. Why did you really agree to this? The money is part of it, obviously, but I don't think that's all of it. Lucas was quiet, thinking. You reminded me of someone. Who? Me, 3 years ago, standing in a hospital being told that everything I thought I knew was gone, that I had to figure out how to keep going anyway. He paused. You get a look in your eyes sometimes, like you're drowning but refusing to admit it. I know that look. Isabella didn't say anything for a long moment. Your wife, she said finally. The accident. Yeah. I'm sorry. So am I, but we keep going, right? Because that's what you do. That's what you do, Isabella agreed softly. The Mercedes took the exit toward Lucas's neighborhood. Familiar streets appeared outside the window. The contrast between where they'd been and where they were was stark enough to be almost funny. The car pulled up in front of the garage. Lights were still on in the apartment above. Mrs. Chen must still be there. I'll send a car Monday morning, Isabella said. 8 o'clock. I'll be ready. Lucas opened the door, then paused. Hey. Yes? You're going to be fine. Monday, the board, all of it. You're going to be fine. Isabella smiled. It was small and tired and maybe the most genuine expression he'd seen on her face all night. I hope you're right. I usually am. Ask my daughter. That got a real laugh. Brief, but real. Lucas stepped out of the car and watched it drive away. Then he headed upstairs, loosening the bow tie that had been strangling him for 6 hours. Mrs. Chen was reading on the couch when he entered. She looked up and smiled. How was your evening? Complicated. The best ones usually are. Mia's asleep. We had a wonderful time. Thank you, Mrs. Chen. Seriously. It was my pleasure. She gathered her things. Same time Monday? If that's okay. More than okay. That child is delightful. After she left, Lucas checked on Mia. She was sprawled across her bed, rabbit tucked under one arm, mouth slightly open. He pulled the blanket over her and kissed her forehead. Then he went to his own room, changed out of the tuxedo, and lay on his mattress staring at the ceiling. Somewhere across the city, Isabella was probably doing the same thing, preparing for a battle that would decide her future. And somehow, inexplicably, Lucas had agreed to be part of it. He closed his eyes and tried to sleep, but his mind kept replaying the night. The ballroom, the terrace, the look on Isabella's face when Marcus had delivered his threat. Monday was going to be interesting. Outside, a siren wailed in the distance. A dog barked. Life in his neighborhood continued, indifferent to galas and corporate warfare and the strange alliance forming between a mechanic and a billionaire. Lucas finally drifted off sometime after 2, the tuxedo hanging in his closet like evidence of a life that wasn't quite his. Monday morning came with rain. Lucas woke to the sound of it hammering against the window, the kind of downpour that turned gutters into rivers and made every pothole a small lake. He lay there for a moment, staring at the water-stained ceiling, wondering if he could call Isabella and back out. He didn't. Mia was already awake, sitting at the kitchen table with her cereal and a worried expression. You're going away again? Just for the day, baby girl. Mrs. Chen's taking you to school. Why can't you take me? I've got that work thing, remember? Mia pushed her cereal around with her spoon. You've been doing a lot of work things. Lucas sat down across from her. I know, but this is the last one for a while. I promise. That's what you said before the party. She wasn't wrong. Lucas had thought Saturday would be the end of it. One night, 10,000 more dollars, done. Instead, he was getting dressed in clothes that cost more than his monthly rent to go sit in a corporate office while Isabella fought for her company. This one's different, he said. How? Good question. How is it different? Because somewhere between the garage and the gala and the terrace conversation, this had stopped being just about money. It had become about something he couldn't quite name. Loyalty, maybe. Or just the bone-deep understanding of what it felt like to fight for something everyone else thought you didn't deserve. Because someone needs help, he said finally. And I can help them. Mia studied him with those two smart eyes. Is it the pretty lady? Her name's Isabella. Do you like her? I barely know her. But if you did know her, would you like her? Lucas rubbed his face. 8 years old and already she could see right through him. Eat your breakfast. You're going to be late. Mrs. Chen arrived at 7:30. Lucas had already changed into the clothes Isabella had sent over. Charcoal suit, white shirt, no tie. Professional but not corporate. The jacket fit perfectly, which still unnerved him. You look very handsome, Mrs. Chen said. I look like I'm going to a funeral. Nonsense. You look like a man who knows what he's doing. If only that were true. He kissed Mia goodbye and headed downstairs just as the black Mercedes pulled up. Same car as Saturday. Same driver. Different day, different stakes. The rain was coming down harder now. Lucas climbed into the back seat and found Isabella already there, studying papers spread across her lap. She looked up briefly. Morning. Morning. She went back to her papers. Lucas watched the rain streak across the windows as the car pulled into traffic. Isabella's hair was pulled back into a tight bun. She wore a navy suit that probably cost more than his truck. No jewelry except small pearly earrings. Her face was set in concentration, but he could see tension in her jaw. You sleep? He asked. Some. How much is some? 2 hours? Maybe 3? That's not enough. It'll have to be. She set down one paper and picked up another. I've been reviewing financials. Marcus is going to argue that our third quarter earnings are down. He's not wrong, but it's misleading. We invested heavily in infrastructure upgrades. Short-term loss for long-term gain. Will the board understand that? Some of them, others just see red numbers. Lucas watched her shuffle through page after page of data he couldn't begin to understand. What can I do? You're already doing it. Just being there sends a message. What message? That I'm stable enough to maintain a relationship while running a company. That my personal life isn't falling apart. She glanced at him. It's stupid, I know. But perception matters. It's not stupid, it's just exhausting. That's one word for it. They drove in silence for a while. The city slowly transformed around them, from Lucas's neighborhood of chain-link fences and corner stores to downtown's glass towers and calculated wealth. Vaughn Industries occupied 40 floors of a building that looked like it cost more than some countries' GDP. The Mercedes pulled into an underground garage. Security waved them through. The driver parked in a reserved spot near the elevators. Ready? Isabella asked. As I'll ever be. They rode the elevator to the 38th floor. Mahogany panels, soft lighting, music that was probably supposed to be soothing. Isabella stood perfectly still, watching the floor numbers climb. Isabella, she looked at him. You're going to win this. You don't know that. Yeah, I do, because you care more than they do. That counts for something. Her expression softened fractionally. I hope you're right. The elevator opened onto a reception area that looked like it belonged in an art museum. Floor-to-ceiling windows, abstract paintings, a receptionist who smiled with practiced precision. Good morning, Ms. Vaughn. Morning, Claire. This is Lucas Hayes. He'll be waiting in my office during the board meeting. Of course. Can I get either of you coffee? Please. Black for me. Lucas? Same. Claire picked up a phone and made a call. Isabella led Lucas down a corridor lined with offices. Executive assistants looked up as they passed, their expressions carefully neutral. Isabella's office was at the end of the hall, corner position, windows overlooking the city. Inside it was surprisingly understated. A desk, bookshelves, a few photographs. One showed her with her father at what looked like a construction site, both of them wearing hard hats, smiling at the camera.
That was the Riverside Project, Isabella said, following his gaze. Low-income housing development. My father's idea. He said if we were going to build things, we should build things that mattered. Sounds like a good man. He was. She set her briefcase on the desk and pulled out more papers. A young woman appeared with coffee, delivered on an actual silver tray. Thanks, Maya. Of course, Ms. Vaughn. The board is gathering in the conference room. Mr. Vaughn Sr. has already arrived. Isabella's expression hardened. Marcus is early. Yes, ma'am. He's been here since 7. Of course he has. Isabella took a sip of coffee. Thank you, Maya. I'll be there in 5 minutes. Maya nodded and left. Isabella set down her cup and straightened her jacket. The meeting will probably take 2 hours, maybe 3. You can work from here if you want. There's a computer you can use, or just, I don't know, make yourself comfortable. I'll be fine. If anyone asks what you're doing here, I'll tell them I'm waiting for my girlfriend. Something flickered in her eyes. Surprise, maybe. Or appreciation. Right, okay. She picked up her briefcase, put it down, picked it up again. I should go. Isabella. She looked at him. You've got this. Go show them who you are. She held his gaze for a long moment. Then she nodded once and walked out. Lucas stood alone in the office, listening to her footsteps fade down the corridor. Through the windows, the rain continued to fall, turning the city into a blur of gray and glass. He sat down on the leather couch and pulled out his phone. A text from Mrs. Chen. Mia dropped off safely. Hope your day goes well. Lucas typed back a quick thanks and pocketed the phone. Then he looked around the office, the photographs, the books, the awards on the shelf. This was Isabella's world. Everything in it spoke of achievement and pressure and expectations he couldn't imagine. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered. Hello? Mr. Hayes, this is Robert Chen. I'm Ms. Vaughn's chief legal counsel. Could you come to the conference room on 42? There's been a development. Lucas's stomach dropped. What kind of development? Better if we discuss in person. The line went dead. Lucas stood there holding the phone, every instinct screaming that something had gone wrong. He stepped into the corridor and flagged down the first person he saw, a young guy in a suit carrying a stack of folders. Conference room, 42nd floor. How do I get there? Elevator to 42, turn right, but you need clearance. Lucas was already moving. He jabbed the elevator button. The doors opened after what felt like an hour. He hit 42. The elevator climbed. His heart hammered against his ribs. When the doors opened, he found chaos. People clustered in the hallway outside a glass-walled conference room. Through the glass, Lucas could see Isabella standing at the head of a long table, her face pale. Marcus sat 3 seats down, looking smug. A dozen other people, board members presumably, watched with various expressions of shock and concern. Lucas pushed through the crowd. A security guard tried to stop him. Sir, this area is restricted. I'm with Ms. Vaughn. I still can't let you. Let him through. The voice came from inside the conference room. A man in his 60s, silver hair, expensive suit. He gestured to the guard, who reluctantly stepped aside. Lucas entered the conference room, every face turned toward him. Mr. Hayes, the silver-haired man said, I'm Robert Chen. Thank you for coming up. We have a situation. What situation? Isabella's voice was tight. Someone leaked internal financial documents to the press. Selective leaks. Numbers taken out of context to make it look like the company is in serious trouble. Which we're not, Robert added. But perception is reality in business. The stock is already dropping. Marcus leaned back in his chair, the picture of false concern. This is precisely why we need steady leadership. Isabella, you've been CEO for 6 months, and already we're dealing with a crisis. A crisis you probably orchestrated, Isabella shot back. That's a serious accusation. It's a serious situation. Enough. Another board member, a woman in her 50s, stood up. Fighting amongst ourselves won't solve anything. The question is what we do now. Robert cleared his throat. We need to issue a statement, address the leaks head on, but it needs to come from a position of strength. Isabella doesn't look strong right now, Marcus said. She looks rattled. I'm not rattled. You're sweating. It was a low blow, and effective. Lucas could see Isabella's jaw clench, her hands grip the edge of the table.
That's when he understood why Robert had called him up here. She's not rattled, Lucas said. Every head in the room turned to him. Marcus's smile was patronizing. And you would know this how? Because I know her, and I know the difference between someone who's scared and someone who's pissed off. Lucas looked at Isabella. You want to issue a statement from strength? Let her write it. Let her own this. With all due respect, Marcus said, you're a mechanic. You don't understand how these things work. You're right. I don't understand corporate politics or stock markets or any of this. Lucas gestured around the room. But I understand people. And I understand that you're trying to make her look weak so you can take what's hers. The room went silent. Marcus's expression darkened. That's absurd. Is it? You've been positioning yourself since her father died, making calls, building alliances, and now, conveniently, documents leak right before a vote of confidence. Lucas turned to the other board members. You really think that's coincidence? You have no proof, Marcus said. Neither do you. About Isabella being unfit. So maybe we skip the games and focus on facts. The woman who'd stood up earlier, her nameplate read Helen Morrison, looked at Lucas with something like approval. What facts would those be, Mr. Hayes? That this company was built by someone who believed in long-term thinking over short-term gains. That Isabella spent 10 years learning that philosophy. That she's been CEO for 6 months, and in that time, she's invested in infrastructure, increased employee benefits, and positioned the company for sustainable growth. Lucas looked at Isabella. Am I getting that right? She nodded, seeming to find her voice again. The third quarter dip is temporary. We upgraded 3 manufacturing facilities and expanded our tech division. Those investments will show returns by Q2 next year. If we survive that long, Marcus muttered. We will, Isabella said, because I'm not going to let you tank this company just to prove I can't run it. That's not what I'm doing. Then what are you doing, Marcus? Enlighten us. He stood up, facing her across the table. I'm trying to save our family's legacy. Father built this company, and you're running it into the ground with your naive idealism. Our father, Isabella corrected. He was my father too, and he chose me, not you. He chose wrong. The words landed like a slap. Isabella went very still. Lucas stepped forward. That's enough. You don't get a vote here, Marcus said. No, but I get an opinion. And my opinion is that you're so obsessed with what you think you deserve that you can't see what's right in front of you. She's trying to honor your uncle's vision. You're trying to profit from it. You know nothing about our family. I know enough. I know what it looks like when someone's fighting to protect something they love. And I know what it looks like when someone's fighting to take something because they're entitled. Marcus's face flushed red. Who the hell do you think you are? Someone who showed up, which is more than you did for 6 months while she learned this job on her own. Helen Morrison cleared her throat. Perhaps we should table the vote until after we've addressed the leak situation. Several other board members nodded. Marcus looked around the table, seeing his support eroding. This isn't over, he said to Isabella. No, she agreed. It's not. Marcus grabbed his briefcase and stormed out. 2 other board members followed. The rest stayed seated, looking uncomfortable. Robert Chen pulled out his phone. I'll draft a statement. Isabella, I'll need you to review it before we release. Of course. Helen stood and walked over to Isabella. That took courage. Standing up to him. I had help. Isabella glanced at Lucas. Helen followed her gaze. Mr. Hayes, you made some good points. Unconventional delivery, but good points. Thanks, I think. The board will reconvene in 2 weeks. That gives you time to prepare a proper presentation on the Q3 investments and projected returns. Helen gathered her things. Use that time wisely. She left. The other board members filed out after her until it was just Lucas, Isabella, and Robert. Robert looked at Lucas with something like amusement. That was quite a performance. I wasn't performing. No, I don't think you were. He turned to Isabella. I'll send you the draft statement in an hour. We need to move fast on this. Understood. Robert left. The conference room fell silent except for the muffled sound of rain against windows. Isabella sat down heavily in one of the chairs. What just happened? You stood your ground, Lucas said. I almost lost it. If you hadn't...
She stopped. Why did you come up here? Robert called me, said there was a development. I didn't ask him to do that. I know. Isabella looked at him, really looked at him. You didn't have to defend me like that. Yeah, I did. Why? Lucas pulled out a chair and sat down across from her. Because Marcus is a bully.
And I don't like bullies. It's more than that. Maybe it was. Maybe somewhere in the last 72 hours, this had stopped being a job and started being something else. But Lucas wasn't ready to examine that too closely. We should figure out who leaked those documents, he said instead. It was Marcus, or someone working for him. Can you prove it? No, that's the problem. Isabella rubbed her temples. Everything's digital now, encrypted. Even if he did it himself, he'd have covered his tracks. What about old-fashioned detective work? What do you mean? Lucas thought for a moment. Who has access to those documents? Board members, executive team, accounting department. That's a lot of people. 30, maybe 40. Okay, so we narrow it down. Who would benefit from making you look bad? Besides Marcus, his allies on the board, Thompson and Reeves, definitely. Maybe Carlson. Would any of them risk their positions to help him? Thompson might. He's been loyal to the Vaughn family for 30 years, but he sees Marcus as the rightful heir. Lucas leaned back. So we start with Thompson, see if we can find any communication between him and the press. That's not exactly legal. I didn't say hack his email. I said look for communication, phone records, meetings, anything public. Isabella considered this. Robert might be able to help. He has investigative resources. Then let's ask him. She pulled out her phone and sent a text. Then she set it down and looked at Lucas. This isn't what you signed up for. No, it's not. You could walk away. I'd understand. Could I? Walk away? Of course, you don't owe me anything. Lucas thought about Mia, about the garage, about the life he'd built from scraps and determination. Then he thought about Isabella standing on that terrace Saturday night, talking about her father's legacy and 30,000 employees. Here's the thing, he said. I spent 3 years keeping my head down, working, surviving, not making waves. And you know what? It's exhausting. Always being careful, always playing it safe. So maybe I'm tired of being careful. Maybe I want to see what happens when I actually stand up for something. This isn't your fight. Maybe not, but I'm in it anyway. Isabella's phone buzzed. She looked at the screen. Robert wants to meet, now. They took the elevator down to the 36th floor, where Robert's office occupied a corner suite even larger than Isabella's. He was already on the phone when they arrived, gesturing them in while he finished his call. Right, good. Keep me posted. He hung up. That was my contact at the Tribune. The reporter who broke the story won't reveal his source, but he did say the documents came from someone inside the company. We already knew that, Isabella said. Yes, but he also said they came with a detailed analysis. Someone didn't just leak numbers, they leaked interpretation, spin. That sounds like Marcus, Lucas said. It does, but we need proof. Robert opened his laptop. I've been reviewing communication logs. Marcus has been in contact with Thompson and Reeves extensively over the past month, more than usual. What were they discussing? That's the problem. Everything was done in person or over personal phones, nothing on company systems. Lucas frowned. So we've got nothing. Not nothing. We have patterns, timing, circumstantial evidence. Robert pulled up a calendar. Look at this. Every meeting Marcus had with Thompson or Reeves in the last month happened within 48 hours of a board member changing their position on the confidence vote. Isabella leaned in. You're saying he's been bribing them? Not bribing, persuading, offering something. We just don't know what. Can we ask them? They'll deny it. What we need is someone willing to talk. The three of them sat in silence, thinking. Then Lucas remembered something. What about the assistant? Whose assistant? Marcus's. At the gala, I saw him talking to someone, young guy, looked nervous. Robert's fingers flew across the keyboard. Marcus's assistant is Derek Mills, 26, been with the company for 2 years. Can we talk to him? We can try, but he's loyal to Marcus. Everyone's loyal until they're not, Lucas said. Robert and Isabella exchanged a look. It's worth a shot,
Isabella said finally. Robert made a call.
5 minutes later, Derek Mills appeared in the doorway. Early 20s, rumpled suit, the look of someone who hadn't slept well in weeks. "You wanted to see me, Mr. Chen?" "Come in, Derek. Close the door." Derek did, his eyes darting nervously between the three of them. "Is something wrong?" "That depends," Robert said. "We need to ask you some questions about the leaked documents." Derek went pale. "I don't know anything about that." "We're not accusing you," Isabella said gently. "We just need information." "I can't help you." "Can't or won't?" Lucas asked. Derek looked at him. "Who are you?" "Someone who's trying to understand what's happening here. What's happening is politics, and I'm just trying to keep my job." "By helping Marcus sabotage Isabella?" I didn't." Derek stopped, took a breath. "Look, I'm just an assistant. I schedule meetings. I file paperwork. Whatever Mr. Vaughn does isn't my business." "But you know what he does," Lucas pressed. "I can't talk about that." "Even if it means Isabella loses her company?" Derek's jaw worked. He looked at Isabella. "I'm sorry. I really am. But I have student loans, rent. I can't afford to lose this job." "I understand," Isabella said. "But if you know something, if Marcus did something illegal, you could be implicated as an accessory." That got his attention. "I didn't do anything illegal." "But did he?" The silence stretched out. Derek shifted his weight, looking miserable. "He asked me to pull financial reports," he said finally. "Specific ones, Q3 earnings, infrastructure costs. He said he needed them for the board meeting." "When was this?" "Last week, Thursday." "And what did you do with the reports?" "I gave them to him. That's my job." "Did you make copies?" "No. Why would I?" Derek stopped. Understanding dawned. "Oh. Did he make copies?" Robert asked. "I don't know. Maybe. He had them in his office for a few hours before he gave them back." "That's when he leaked them," Lucas said. Derek looked panicked. "You can't prove that. And even if you could, he'd say he was reviewing company materials. That's not illegal." "No," Robert agreed, "but it establishes opportunity. Combined with motive and the timing of his meetings with other board members, it starts to build a case." "A case isn't proof," Derek said. "No, but it's a start." Isabella stepped closer. "Derek, I know you're scared, but if Marcus wins, a lot of people are going to lose their jobs. He'll gut this company to maximize profit. Is that really what you want to be part of?" Derek looked at the floor. "What do you want from me?" "Testimony. If we can get enough evidence to bring formal charges of corporate misconduct, we'll need you to testify about the documents. And if I do, Marcus will destroy me. If you don't, and he wins, he'll probably fire you anyway," Lucas said. "Assistants see too much. He'll want a clean slate." Derek's face crumpled. He looked young suddenly, vulnerable. "I need time to think about it." "You have until tomorrow morning," Robert said. "That's when we're filing a formal complaint with the Board Ethics Committee." Derek nodded shakily and left. After he was gone, Robert closed his laptop. "That was a gamble." "Did we have a choice?" Isabella asked. "No, but if Derek talks to Marcus before tomorrow, he'll have time to cover his tracks." "Then we work fast." Isabella turned to Lucas. "I need to review Robert's statement and coordinate with PR. This is probably going to take a few hours." "I can wait." "You don't have to. I can have a car take you home." Lucas checked his phone. It was barely noon. "What time does your workday usually end?" 6, sometimes later." "Then I'll wait until 6. Mia doesn't get home from aftercare until 6:30 anyway." Isabella looked like she wanted to argue, but didn't. "Okay, thank you." They went back to her office. Isabella dove into damage control, calls with PR, revisions to Robert's statement, emails to board members she trusted. Lucas sat on the couch with his phone, trying to stay out of the way. Around 2, Maya brought sandwiches. Lucas hadn't realized he was hungry until he smelled food. "Turkey okay?" Isabella asked, looking up from her computer. "Turkey's great." They ate in relative silence. Outside, the rain had finally stopped, leaving the city washed clean and gleaming. "Can I ask you something?" Isabella said. "Sure." "What did you mean earlier about being tired of playing it safe?" Lucas set down his sandwich. I meant exactly that. After Sarah died, I went into survival mode. Keep the garage open. Raise Mia. Don't take risks. It made sense at the time. But somewhere along the way, I stopped living. I was just existing, going through the motions. He paused. You showing up in my garage? It woke something up. Reminded me that there's more to life than just surviving. Is that a good thing? I don't know yet. Ask me when this is all over. Isabella smiled slightly. Deal. Her phone rang. She answered, listened, her expression growing grim. Understood. Thank you. She hung up. That was Robert. The stock dropped another 8%. The board is panicking. What does that mean? It means we're running out of time. If this continues, they'll force an emergency vote. Remove me before I can defend myself. Lucas stood up. Then we don't wait for Derek. We go to Marcus directly. And say what? The truth. That we know what he did. That we have testimony placing him with those documents. See if he blinks. He won't. Maybe not. But maybe we'll learn something anyway. Isabella considered this. Then she nodded. His office is on 41. They took the elevator up one floor. Marcus's office was at the opposite end of the hall from Isabella's, equally large but decorated with aggressive corporate art and photos of himself with politicians and celebrities. He was on the phone when they walked in. He held up a finger, making them wait. Right, exactly. We'll discuss tomorrow. Thanks. He hung up. Isabella, what a surprise. And you brought your pet mechanic. We need to talk, Isabella said. I'm busy. Make time. Marcus leaned back in his chair. Fine. You have 2 minutes. I know you leaked those documents. That's a serious accusation. It's the truth. Can you prove it? We're working on it. Marcus smiled. Then you have nothing. Is that all? No. Isabella stepped closer. I want to know why. What could possibly be worth destroying the company Father built? I'm not destroying it. I'm saving it from you. By tanking the stock price? By creating panic? By showing the board what happens when an inexperienced CEO makes reckless decisions. Marcus stood. Those infrastructure investments were foolish. The tech expansion was premature. You're bleeding money on projects that won't show returns for years. Long-term thinking is a luxury we can't afford. The market is ruthless, Isabella. It doesn't care about idealism. And you don't care about anything except power. I care about our family's legacy, which you're squandering. Lucas had heard enough. You keep saying legacy, but the legacy your uncle built wasn't about profit margins. It was about building things that mattered. You're not protecting that. You're destroying it. Marcus's expression turned cold. You have no idea what you're talking about. I know exactly what I'm talking about. I've spent 3 years building something from nothing, keeping it alive through sheer stubbornness. That's what real legacy looks like, not hostile takeovers and board politics. This conversation is over. Marcus picked up his phone. Security? I have trespassers in my office. We're not trespassers, Isabella said, and you're not going to win this. We'll see. 2 security guards appeared in the doorway. Escort Ms. Vaughn and her guest out of my office. Isabella held Marcus's gaze for a long moment. Then she turned and walked out, Lucas following. In the hallway, she was shaking. Hey, Lucas said quietly. You okay? He's going to get away with it. We can't prove anything. Not yet. But Derek might still come through. And if he doesn't, then we find another way. They rode the elevator back down to 38 in silence. Maya met them as they stepped off. Ms. Vaughn, you have a visitor. She's waiting in your office. Who? She said her name is Helen Morrison. Isabella and Lucas exchanged a glance and hurried to the office. Helen sat on the couch, looking out the windows at the city. She turned when they entered. Helen, Isabella said, I wasn't expecting you. I know, but after this morning's meeting, I did some thinking and some digging. She pulled a folder from her briefcase. I had my assistant review board communications from the past 6 months. Look at this. Isabella took the folder and opened it. Her eyes widened. What is it? Lucas asked. Email chains. Between Marcus and Thompson. They're coded, but the pattern is clear. Every time Marcus promised Thompson something, a board position, a consulting contract, Thompson's vote shifted. That's bribery, Isabella said. It's complicated, but yes, essentially. Helen stood. I'm bringing this to the ethics committee tomorrow morning, along with my testimony. Why are you helping me? Helen smiled. Because your father was a good man. And because I'm tired of watching Marcus manipulate this board, it's time someone stood up to him. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This will get ugly. Marcus has allies. They'll fight back. Let them. After Helen left, Isabella sank into her desk chair. We might actually have a chance. You always had a chance, Lucas said. She looked at him. I couldn't have done this without you. Yeah, you could have. You just didn't have to. Isabella stood and crossed to where he was standing. They were close enough that Lucas could see the flecks of gold in her brown eyes. Lucas. Her phone rang. She glanced at it and sighed. I have to take this. It's the head of PR. Go ahead. She answered and launched into a detailed conversation about messaging strategy. Lucas checked the time. 5:30. Another 30 minutes and he could head home. His phone buzzed. A text from Mrs. Chen. Mia wants to know if you're coming to her school concert Thursday. I told her I'd ask. Lucas had completely forgotten about the concert. He texted back, I'll be there. When Isabella finished her call, she looked exhausted. How much more do you have? Lucas asked. Too much, but nothing that can't wait until tomorrow. She grabbed her coat. Let's get out of here. They rode the elevator down to the parking garage. The Mercedes was waiting. On the drive back to Lucas's neighborhood, Isabella stared out the window. What are you thinking? He asked. That tomorrow could change everything. Helen's evidence, Derek's testimony if he agrees, the ethics committee review. By this time tomorrow, either Marcus is finished or I am. You're not finished. How can you be so sure? Because you're not the kind of person who gives up. I've known you less than a week, and even I can see that. Isabella turned from the window. A week? Has it really only been a week? Since you showed up in my garage? Yeah. Feels longer. Yeah, it does. The car pulled up in front of the garage. Lights were on in the apartment above. Mrs. Chen must have brought Mia home early. Thank you, Isabella said. For today. For all of it. You're welcome. I'll call you tomorrow. Let you know how the ethics meeting goes. Okay. Lucas opened the door, then paused. Hey, for what it's worth, your father chose right. You're exactly who should be running that company. Before she could respond, he stepped out and closed the door. The Mercedes drove away, taillights disappearing into traffic. Lucas stood there for a moment, watching it go. Then he headed upstairs to his daughter, his garage, his regular life. But nothing felt regular anymore. Mia was practicing her song when Lucas walked through the door. She stood in the middle of the living room, hairbrush in hand like a microphone, belting out something about friendship and rainbows that was probably meant for the school concert. Mrs. Chen sat on the couch, clapping encouragement. Daddy! Mia dropped the hairbrush and ran to him. Did you hear me? I heard you from downstairs. You sounded great. Mrs. Chen says I'm a natural performer. Mrs. Chen is very wise. Lucas looked at the older woman. Thank you for today. Again. My pleasure. Mia and I had a lovely time, didn't we, dear? We made cookies. Want one? Lucas hadn't eaten since the sandwich at noon. I'd love one. Mia dragged him to the kitchen where a plate of slightly lopsided sugar cookies sat on the counter. Lucas took one and bit into it. Too much sugar, not enough flour, absolutely perfect. Good? Best cookie I've ever had. Mia beamed. Mrs. Chen gathered her things and headed for the door. Same time tomorrow? She asked. Lucas paused. I don't know yet. Can I let you know in the morning? Of course. Good night, you two. After she left, Mia looked at Lucas with suspicion. Are you going away again tomorrow? Maybe. I'm not sure yet. Is it for the pretty lady? Her name is Isabella, and yes, probably. Mia ate a cookie thoughtfully. Do you like her? We've had this conversation. I know, but now you've seen her more. So, do you like her now? Lucas sat down at the kitchen table. His daughter joined him, swinging her legs that didn't quite reach the floor. It's complicated, he said. Why? Because she lives in a different world. She's rich, important. I fix cars. So? So we don't exactly have a lot in common. You both work hard, Mia said, and you both care about people. Mrs. Patterson at the library says those are the most important things. Mrs. Patterson sounds like the smart lady. She is. She gave me 3 new books today. Mia finished her cookie. I think you should like Isabella. She makes you smile different. Different how? Like you're happy, not just pretending to be happy. The observation landed harder than it should have. Lucas looked at his daughter, 8 years old and already seen through him like glass. When do I pretend to be happy? Lots of times. When the bills come, when the car people don't pay you, when you think I'm not looking. Mia reached across the table and patted his hand. It's okay, Daddy. I pretend too sometimes. Lucas felt his throat tighten. What do you pretend about? That I don't miss Mommy. Because I think it makes you sad when I talk about her. He pulled Mia onto his lap, holding her close. Baby girl, you can always talk about Mommy. Always. I loved her too, remember? I know, but it's been a long time. And I don't want you to be sad forever. I'm not sad forever. Just sometimes. Mia was quiet for a moment, then, would Mommy like Isabella? Lucas thought about Sarah, about her laugh, and her terrible cooking, and the way she'd believed in him even when he didn't believe in himself. Would she like Isabella? Probably. Sarah had always been drawn to people who fought for things. Yeah, he said. I think she would. Then you should definitely like her. It's not that simple. Why not? Because Isabella and I are pretending, this whole thing. It's not real. Mia twisted to look at him. It seems real. That's the point. We're acting. But you're friends, right? Friends are real. Lucas didn't have an answer for that. Were they friends? He barely knew her. But he'd stood up for her in a boardroom. She'd trusted him with information that could destroy careers. That had to count for something. Maybe we are, he said finally. Good, because I think she needs a friend. Rich people seem lonely. Out of the mouths of babes. Lucas kissed the top of Mia's head and set her down. All right, kiddo, bedtime. But it's only 7:30. School tomorrow, concert Thursday. You need your rest. She grumbled but went through her bedtime routine without too much complaint. Lucas tucked her in, read her 2 chapters of the Dolphin book, and kissed her goodnight. Then he went to his room and collapsed on his mattress. His phone buzzed. A text from Isabella. Derek agreed to testify. Ethics meeting is tomorrow at 9 a.m. Wish me luck. Lucas typed back, You don't need luck, but good luck anyway. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Isabella, thank you for everything. I mean it. Lucas, get some sleep. Tomorrow's a big day. Isabella, you too. He set the phone down and stared at the ceiling. Somewhere across the city, Isabella was probably doing the same thing. Lying in bed, mind racing, trying to prepare for a battle that could end her career. And here he was, a mechanic from the wrong side of town, somehow tangled up in corporate warfare because he'd said yes to a woman who'd walked into his garage a week ago. Mia was right. Nothing about this made sense. But maybe that was okay. Lucas's phone rang at 6 a.m. He grabbed it, heart already pounding. Unknown number. Hello? Mr. Hayes, this is Robert Chen. I apologize for the early call. Lucas sat up. What's wrong? Derek Mills didn't show up for work this morning. His apartment is empty. We think he ran. What? Why would he run if he agreed to testify? We don't know, but without his testimony, our case against Marcus just got significantly weaker. Lucas rubbed his face. Does Isabella know? I'm calling her next. I wanted to give you a heads up first. The ethics meeting is in 3 hours. Can you postpone? Not without looking like we're stalling. We move forward with what we have, which is Helen's evidence, which might not be enough. Email chains can be explained away. Marcus will claim they were discussing legitimate board business. So what do? We fight anyway, but I wanted you to know this just got harder. The line went dead. Lucas sat there in the dark, phone in hand, feeling the weight of failure before it even happened. Derek had been their smoking gun. Without him, They were back to circumstantial evidence and speculation. He got up and started coffee. His hands were shaking. By the time Mia woke up, Lucas had made a decision. "Morning, baby girl." "Morning, Daddy. You look tired." "Couldn't sleep." "Hey, about Thursday's concert. You're still coming, right?" "Of course I'm coming. I was just going to ask what time." 7 o'clock? We're supposed to be there at 6:30. I'll be there at 6:30. Mia smiled and started in on her cereal. Lucas made her lunch, packed her backpack, walked her to the bus stop. Normal Tuesday morning routine, except nothing felt normal. Mrs. Chen arrived at 7:30. "You're going again today?" she asked. "Yeah, big meeting. Could be the last one, though. Good or bad?" "I'll let you know." The Mercedes arrived at 8. Lucas climbed in and found Isabella already there, looking like she hadn't slept at all. Dark circles under her eyes, coffee cup clutched in both hands. "You heard," she said. "Robert called. Derek's gone. Cleaned out his apartment and disappeared. Left a note saying he couldn't handle the pressure." "Marcus got to him." "Probably. Or Derek just decided his job wasn't worth the risk." Isabella took a sip of coffee. "Either way, we're going in there with half the ammunition we had yesterday. Helen's evidence is still solid. It's circumstantial. Marcus will spin it. Say he was doing due diligence, protecting the company. The board will eat it up because they want to believe him. So we make them not want to believe him. How?" Lucas thought for a moment. "What's the one thing Marcus can't explain away?" "The leak itself. But we can't prove he did it." "No, but we can prove the timing. The leak happened right before the board meeting. Right when it would do maximum damage to you. That's not coincidence." Marcus will say someone else leaked it to make him look bad." "Will he? Because that means admitting someone on his side betrayed him. That makes him look weak." Isabella sat up straighter. "So we force him into a corner, make him either admit he did it or admit he can't control his own people." "Exactly. That's actually pretty smart." "Don't sound so surprised." Isabella almost smiled. Then her phone rang. She looked at the screen and her expression hardened. "It's Marcus." Answer it." She put it on speaker. "What do you want?" Marcus's voice was smooth, confident. "I wanted to give you a chance to withdraw gracefully. Drop the ethics complaint. Accept a generous severance package. Walk away." "I'm not walking away." "Isabella, be reasonable. Derek ran. That tells me your case is built on sand. Save yourself the embarrassment. My case is built on evidence, which I'll be presenting in about an hour. Was evidence provided by a board member who's been looking for an excuse to undermine me for years. The committee will see through it. Then you have nothing to worry about." "I'm trying to help you." "No, you're not. You're trying to protect yourself." Isabella's voice was ice. "I'll see you at 9. She hung up. They sat in silence as the car navigated morning traffic. The Vaughn Industries building rose ahead, glass and steel catching the early light. "He's scared," Lucas said. "Maybe. Or maybe he knows something we don't." The car pulled into the parking garage. They rode the elevator up to 42, where the ethics committee met in a secure conference room. Robert was already there, along with Helen and 3 other board members Lucas didn't recognize. "Isabella, Mr. Hayes." Robert stood. "We have about 15 minutes before Marcus arrives. Let's review our strategy." They huddled around the table. Robert laid out the evidence, email chains, meeting logs, the timeline of events. Helen added her testimony about Marcus's pressure tactics. It looked solid on paper. But paper wasn't reality. At 9 o'clock exactly, Marcus walked in with his own lawyer, a sharp-eyed woman in an expensive suit who looked like she ate ethics complaints for breakfast. The committee chair, a stern man named Douglas Carter, called the meeting to order. "We're here to review allegations of misconduct against Marcus Vaughn. Ms. Vaughn, you've filed the complaint. Present your case." Isabella stood. She was steady now, focused. Marcus Vaughn deliberately leaked confidential financial documents to the press in order to damage both my reputation and the company's stock price. He did this to force a vote of no confidence and remove me as CEO. "That's absurd," Marcus said. "Let her finish," Carter said. Isabella presented the timeline. The meetings between Marcus and Thompson, the email chains discussing board votes, the suspicious timing of the leak. Marcus's lawyer took notes, her expression unreadable. When Isabella finished, Carter turned to Marcus. Your response? This is a witch hunt. My cousin is struggling as CEO, and rather than admit her own failures, she's scapegoating me. Marcus gestured to the evidence. These emails show normal board communication. The meetings with Mr. Thompson were about legitimate company business. As for the leak, I had nothing to do with it. Can you prove that? Helen asked. Can she prove I did? The burden of proof is on the accuser. He was right, and he knew it. Carter looked at the evidence again. Ms. Vaughn, do you have any direct proof that Mr. Vaughn leaked these documents? We had a witness, Derek Mills, Marcus's assistant. He was prepared to testify that Marcus requested the exact documents that were leaked. But Derek disappeared last night. How convenient, Marcus's lawyer said. We believe Mr. Vaughn threatened him, Robert said. That's defamatory, the lawyer shot back. Unless you have proof of these threats? Silence. Lucas watched the momentum shift. Marcus was winning. The committee could see it too. Then Lucas stood up. Can I say something? Everyone looked at him. Carter frowned. You're not a board member, Mr. Hayes. I know, but I'm a witness to Marcus's character, and I think that matters. This is highly irregular. Let him speak, Isabella said. Carter sighed. Fine, but make it quick. Lucas faced the committee. I've known Marcus Vaughn for less than a week, but in that time, I've watched him operate. At the gala Saturday night, he cornered Isabella and threatened her, told her the board was turning against her, suggested she give up. When she refused, he made it personal, attacked her credentials, her right to lead. That's hearsay, Marcus said. It's observation. And here's what I observed. Marcus doesn't care about this company. He cares about winning, about being right, about proving that he deserves something he wasn't given. Lucas looked at Marcus. You keep saying Isabella is failing, but the only failure I've seen is yours. Your failure to accept that your uncle chose someone else. Your failure to support your family. Your failure to be anything other than bitter. Marcus's face flushed. You know nothing about my family. I know enough. I know what real legacy looks like. It's not about control or power. It's about building something that outlasts you, something that helps people. Lucas turned back to the committee. Isabella's trying to do that. Marcus is trying to tear it down. You don't need Derek's testimony to see which one of them deserves to lead. The room was silent. Then Marcus stood. This is ridiculous. I don't have to sit here and be lectured by a mechanic about business ethics. Then leave, Isabella said. Excuse me? If this is such a waste of your time, leave. Walk out. Show everyone exactly who you are. Marcus stared at her. The room held its breath. I'm not giving you the satisfaction, he said finally, sitting back down. Carter cleared his throat. Mr. Vaughn raises a valid point. Mr. Hayes' testimony, while passionate, doesn't constitute evidence of wrongdoing. Actually, Helen said, it raises an interesting question. If Marcus is so confident in his innocence, why not prove it? I don't have to prove anything. Then let's examine your phone records, your personal email. If you didn't leak those documents, there should be no communication with any reporters. Marcus's lawyer leaned in and whispered something. He shook his head. My personal communications are private. Even in an ethics investigation? Carter asked. Especially in an ethics investigation. I have rights. Rights you're invoking because you have something to hide, Isabella said. I'm invoking them because this entire proceeding is a farce designed to... Marcus's phone rang. He pulled it out, glanced at the screen, and went pale. I need to take this. The meeting isn't over, Carter said. I need to take this. Marcus stood and walked to the corner of the room. What? When? Are you sure? Everyone watched him. His expression shifted from shock to anger to something that looked like panic. He hung up and turned to face the room. The SEC just launched an investigation into Vaughn Industries. Someone reported suspicious trading activity before the leak. They're claiming insider trading. The room exploded. Carter banged his fist on the table. Quiet! Everyone quiet! He looked at Marcus. Who's under investigation? Thompson and Reeves. They both sold significant stock positions the day before the leak went public. Isabella's eyes widened. They knew it was coming. You told them. I didn't tell them anything. Then how did they know to sell? Marcus said nothing. Helen stood up. If Thompson and Reeves knew about the leak in advance, that's proof of a conspiracy, and the only person who could have told them is you. I want my lawyer present for any further questions, Marcus said. I think this meeting is over, Carter said. Pending the SEC investigation, both Marcus and Isabella will remain in their current positions. We'll reconvene once we have more information. That's not acceptable, Marcus said. It's what's happening. This meeting is adjourned. People started filing out. Marcus grabbed his things and left without looking at anyone. His lawyer followed, already on her phone. Isabella sat down heavily. What just happened? The SEC happened, Robert said. Someone reported Thompson and Reeves. The timing is too perfect to be coincidence. Who would report them? Someone who wants the truth to come out. Helen smiled slightly. Or someone who wants Marcus to pay for his arrogance. Did you do this? Isabella asked. Let's just say I have friends in high places, and they were very interested to learn about certain stock transactions. Lucas looked at Helen with new respect. You set him up. I gave the SEC information they should have had weeks ago. What they do with it is their business. Robert gathered his papers. The investigation will take time. Weeks, maybe months. But if Thompson and Reeves flip on Marcus to save themselves, he's finished, Isabella said. More than finished. He could face criminal charges. The weight of it settled over the room. This wasn't just a corporate power struggle anymore. This was serious. Lucas touched Isabella's shoulder. You okay? I don't know. I wanted to beat him, but not like this. He did this to himself. I know, but he's still family. They left the conference room and headed back to Isabella's office. The entire executive floor was buzzing with news of the SEC investigation. People whispered in hallways. Phones rang constantly. In her office, Isabella closed the door and leaned against it. I should feel relieved. Why don't I feel relieved? Because you're not vindictive, Lucas said. You just wanted to do your job. And now Marcus might go to prison. If he committed crimes, that's on him. Isabella moved to the window, looking out over the city. My father would hate this, all of it, the fighting, the investigations. He built this company to create things, not destroy people. Your father would understand, Lucas said. You were protecting what he built. That's what matters. She turned from the window. What happens now? Now you run the company. Like you've been trying to do all along. It won't be that simple. The stock is still down. The board is fractured. Marcus's allies will fight back. So you fight harder. You've got evidence on your side now, and you've got people who believe in you. People like you? People like me. They stood there in the quiet office, the city sprawling below them. Isabella's phone rang. She checked it and smiled. It's the chairman of the board. Probably wants to discuss the investigation. Take it. I'll wait outside. Lucas stepped into the hallway and pulled out his own phone. A text from Mrs. Chen. Mia forgot her lunch. I'm taking her favorite sandwich to school. Don't worry. He typed back. Thank you. You're a lifesaver. Another text came through. This one from a number he didn't recognize. This is Derek. I'm sorry I ran. I couldn't handle the pressure, but I saved copies of everything Marcus asked me to pull, including emails he deleted. If you still need them, they're yours. Lucas stared at the message. Derek had run, but he hadn't given up. He knocked on Isabella's office door. She was still on the phone but waved him in. He held up his phone, showing her Derek's message. Her eyes widened. She said something into her phone about calling back and hung up. Derek has evidence? He says he saved copies of everything, including deleted emails. Can we trust him? I don't know, but it's worth finding out. Isabella called Robert. Get a location on Derek Mills. He just contacted Lucas with new evidence. Within 20 minutes, Robert called back with an address. Derek was holed up in a motel on the outskirts of the city. I'm going to get him, Isabella said. We're going to get him, Lucas corrected. They took the Mercedes. The motel was the kind of place that rented rooms by the hour and didn't ask questions. Derek answered the door looking like he hadn't slept in days. "I'm sorry," he said immediately. "I panicked. Marcus called me Sunday night and said if I testified, he'd make sure I never worked again. I got scared." "It's okay," Isabella said. "You're here now. That's what matters." Derek let them in. The room was small and smelled like cigarettes. A laptop sat open on the bed, surrounded by printouts. I made copies of everything before I left. Financial reports, email chains, even deleted messages I recovered from the server backup. Derek handed Isabella a flash drive. "It's all here, proof that Marcus leaked those documents, proof that he coordinated with Thompson and Reeves. Everything you need." Isabella took the flash drive like it was made of gold. "Why are you giving this to us now?" "Because running didn't make me feel better. It made me feel like a coward." Derek looked at Lucas. "What you said yesterday about legacy and building things that matter, that stuck with me. I don't want to be the guy who helped tear down a good company because I was too scared to do the right thing." "You're not a coward," Lucas said. "You're just human." They took Derek and the evidence back to Vaughn Industries. Robert nearly wept when he saw the files. "This is it. This is everything we need. Marcus is done." The SEC moved fast once they had Derek's evidence. By Wednesday morning, Marcus Vaughn was formally charged with securities fraud, insider trading, and corporate espionage. Thompson and Reeves were charged as co-conspirators. The news hit the financial press like a bomb. Stock in Vaughn Industries initially dropped another 5%, then rallied hard when Isabella issued a statement promising transparency and accountability. By end of day Wednesday, the stock was back to where it had been before the leak. The board held an emergency meeting Wednesday evening. Lucas waited in Isabella's office while it happened. She came back 2 hours later looking exhausted but steady. "They voted. Unanimous confidence. I keep my position. Congratulations." "It doesn't feel real yet." "Give it time." Isabella sat down on the couch next to him. "The board wants me to make a public statement tomorrow. Address the scandal. Reassure shareholders." "You'll do great." "Will you be there?" Lucas thought about Mia's concert. "What time?" 2 p.m. "I can't. Mia's concert is tomorrow night. I need to be there early to help set up." "Of course. I understand." Isabella looked disappointed but tried to hide it. "Your daughter comes first." "Yeah, she does." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. "Lucas," Isabella said finally, "I want to ask you something, but I don't want to make this weird." "Too late. This whole thing has been weird from the start." That got a small laugh. "Fair point. Okay, here goes. Would you want to have dinner? A real dinner. Not as fake boyfriend and client, just as people." Lucas looked at her, really looked at her. The woman who'd walked into his garage a week ago had been polished and perfect, untouchable. The woman sitting next to him now had dark circles under her eyes and wrinkled clothes, and the exhausted relief of someone who'd just survived a war. She was real. "I'd like that," he said, "but there's a condition." "What?" "You meet Mia first, officially, not as a client or a business arrangement, as someone I'm having dinner with." Isabella smiled. "I'd like that too." "She'll interrogate you. Fair warning. I can handle an 8-year-old. Famous last words." They made plans for Friday night, casual dinner at a place near Lucas's neighborhood. Nothing fancy. Just getting to know each other. The Mercedes dropped Lucas off at his garage just after 9. Mrs. Chen was reading on the couch again, Mia asleep in her room. "How did it go?" she asked. "Better than expected. Much better." "I'm glad. You look lighter somehow." Lucas thought about that. Lighter. Maybe that was the right word, like he'd been carrying something heavy and finally set it down. After Mrs. Chen left, he checked on Mia. She was sprawled across her bed, the stuffed rabbit tucked under one arm. He kissed her forehead and went to his own room. His phone buzzed, a text from Isabella. "Thank you for everything. I couldn't have done this without you." Lucas typed back, "Yes, you could have, but I'm glad you didn't have to." 3 dots appeared. Then, "See you Friday. I'm nervous about meeting Mia." Lucas, "Don't be. She already likes you." Isabella, "How do you know?" Lucas, Because she asked if you were my friend, and when I said maybe, she said good, that you seemed like you needed one. The dots appeared and disappeared several times, then, she's right. I did. Good night, Lucas. Lucas. Good night, Isabella. He set the phone down and stared at the ceiling. A week ago, his life had been simple, predictable, safe. Now nothing was simple, but maybe that was okay. Maybe simple wasn't what he needed. Thursday evening came faster than Lucas expected. He left the garage early, picked Mia up from aftercare, and drove to Lincoln Elementary. The parking lot was already packed with parents carrying flowers and cameras. Inside the auditorium, chaos reigned. Kids ran around in matching t-shirts. Teachers tried to maintain order. Parents jockeyed for the best seats. Lucas found a spot 3 rows from the front and saved it with his jacket. Then he helped Mia get ready backstage. You're going to do great, he said, straightening her collar. What if I forget the words? You won't. But if you do, just mouth along with everyone else. No one will notice. Promise you'll watch? I'll be in the 3rd row, right side. I won't take my eyes off you. Mia hugged him tight. Love you, Daddy. Love you too, baby girl. The concert was exactly what you'd expect from an elementary school performance. Off-key singing, forgotten choreography. One kid who froze completely and had to be gently guided off stage by a teacher. It was perfect. Mia sang her heart out, never missing a word. Lucas recorded the whole thing on his phone, grinning like an idiot. After the concert, parents flooded backstage to collect their kids. Lucas found Mia surrounded by her friends, all of them talking over each other about whose parents had embarrassed them most. Ready to go? He asked. Can we get ice cream? Absolutely. They went to the place down the street, a tiny shop that had been there since Lucas was a kid. Mia got chocolate with rainbow sprinkles. Lucas got vanilla. You did great up there, he said. I saw you recording. You're not going to show that to anyone, right? I'm going to show everyone. I'm putting it on the internet. Daddy, no. I'm kidding. It's just for us. Mia licked her ice cream thoughtfully. Is Isabella coming to dinner tomorrow? She is. You okay with that? Yeah, I want to meet her for real, not just seeing her through my window. She's nervous about meeting you. Why? I'm just a kid. You're not just anything. You're very important to me, so your opinion matters. Mia considered this. I'll be nice, but I'm going to ask her questions. I know you will. Important questions, like what her favorite animal is, and if she likes pizza. Those are very important questions. They finished their ice cream and drove home. Lucas carried a sleepy Mia up the stairs and tucked her into bed. Tomorrow's going to be good, she mumbled, already half asleep. Yeah, Lucas said softly. I think it will be. He went to his room and checked his phone. A text from Isabella. How was the concert? Lucas sent her the video. A minute later, his phone rang. That's adorable, Isabella said. She has a beautiful voice. Don't tell her that. Her ego's big enough already. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. And terrified. Is that normal? Completely normal. Mia's looking forward to it too, also terrified. We're quite a pair. Yeah, Lucas said. We are. They talked for another 20 minutes about nothing important. The weather, the city, small things that felt bigger somehow. When Lucas finally hung up and tried to sleep, he found himself smiling. Friday night felt different, full of possibility. And for the first time in 3 years, Lucas wasn't afraid of what came next. Friday morning, Lucas woke to find Mia already awake and standing in his doorway. Is it tonight? She asked. Yes, it's tonight. What time? 6:30. What should I wear? Lucas rubbed his eyes. Whatever you want, baby girl. It's just dinner. It's not just dinner. It's an important dinner. You said so yourself. She had him there. Lucas sat up and looked at his daughter, who was vibrating with nervous energy. How about your blue dress? The one Grandma sent for your birthday? Mia's face lit up. The one with the flowers. That's the one. She ran off to her room, already planning. Lucas dragged himself out of bed and started coffee. His own nerves were kicking in now. This was different from the gala or the board meetings. This was real. No pretending. No performance. Just him, his daughter, and a woman he was still trying to figure out. The day dragged. Lucas tried to focus on work, a transmission rebuild, an alignment, routine maintenance on Mrs. Chen's sedan. But his mind kept wandering. At 4 o'clock, he gave up and closed the garage early. Upstairs, Mia was already in her dress, practicing conversation in front of the mirror. "Hi, Isabella. It's nice to meet you. My name is Mia." She paused. "No, that's too formal." "Hi, I'm Mia. My dad talks about you a lot." Another pause. "No, that's embarrassing." Lucas leaned against the doorframe. "Just be yourself. She'll like you." "What if she doesn't?" "Impossible. You're the best kid I know." "I'm the only kid you know." "Also true. But the point stands." Lucas showered and changed into clean jeans and a button-down shirt. Not fancy, but respectable. He looked at himself in the mirror and barely recognized the man staring back. 2 weeks ago, he'd been running on empty. Now he looked almost awake. At 6:15, there was a knock on the door. Lucas opened it to find Isabella standing there in jeans and a simple sweater. No designer clothes. No jewelry except small earrings. Her hair was down, loose around her shoulders. She looked nervous. "Hi," she said. "Hi, come in." Isabella stepped into the apartment, taking in the small space with what Lucas hoped was curiosity rather than judgment. Her eyes landed on the photos on the wall. Mia as a baby, Lucas and Sarah on their wedding day, family snapshots from better times. "Is that your wife?" she asked, gesturing to the wedding photo. "Yeah, Sarah." She was beautiful. She was. Footsteps thundered from Mia's room. His daughter appeared, slightly out of breath, smoothing down her dress. "Hi," Mia said. "I'm Mia." Isabella smiled. "Hi, Mia. I'm Isabella. It's really nice to meet you." They stood there for a moment, sizing each other up. Then Mia asked the question Lucas had been dreading. "What's your favorite animal?" Isabella blinked. "Excuse me? Your favorite animal. It's important." I'd have to say elephants? Why?" "They're smart, and they take care of their families. They remember things." Mia nodded, apparently satisfied. "Mine's dolphins. Do you like pizza?" "I love pizza." "Good. Daddy says people who don't like pizza can't be trusted." Mia looked at Lucas. "Can we go now? I'm hungry." The restaurant was a small Italian place 3 blocks away. Red checkered tablecloths, plastic grapes hanging from the ceiling, the smell of garlic bread and marinara sauce. They got a booth in the back. Mia slid in next to Lucas, forcing Isabella to sit across from them. Lucas had a feeling this was strategic, easier to interrogate someone when you could maintain eye contact. The waitress brought menus and took drink orders. Mia studied her menu with intense concentration, even though Lucas knew she'd order the same thing she always did. "So," Mia said, looking at Isabella over the top of her menu, "Daddy says you run a big company." "I do. Well, I'm trying to." "What does that mean?" "It means running a company is complicated. There are a lot of people involved, a lot of decisions to make." "Do you like it?" Isabella considered the question. "Most days, yes. Some days it's really hard." "Daddy's job is hard too. People don't always pay him on time, and sometimes cars are broken in ways that are expensive to fix." "That does sound hard. But he's really good at it. He can fix anything." Lucas felt his face heat up. "Mia, maybe let Isabella talk." "I'm just telling her the truth." The waitress came back with drinks, Coke for Mia, water for the adults. They ordered food, spaghetti and meatballs for Mia, chicken parmesan for Lucas, lasagna for Isabella. After the waitress left, Mia resumed her interrogation. "Do you have any kids?" "No, I don't." "Do you want kids?" "Mia?" Lucas warned. "It's okay," Isabella said. "I never really thought about it. I've been so focused on work that I haven't thought about a lot of things." "Like what things?" "Like what I want my life to look like, outside of work." Mia absorbed this. "My daddy didn't think about stuff either. After Mommy died, he just worked all the time. But then you came, and now he smiles more." Lucas wanted the floor to open up and swallow him. "Mia, come on." "What? It's true. Mrs. Chen noticed too." Isabella was trying not to smile. "I'm glad I could help with that. Are you and my daddy dating for real now? Or is it still pretend?" And there it was. The question Lucas had been avoiding asking himself. He looked at Isabella. She looked back.
We're trying to figure that out, Isabella said carefully. Is that okay with you? Mia thought about it. Yeah, I think it's okay. You seem nice, and you like elephants and pizza. Those are good signs. The food arrived, saving Lucas from further embarrassment. They ate in comfortable silence for a few minutes. Then Mia started telling Isabella about her concert, about her friends at school, about the dolphin book she was reading. Isabella listened like Mia was the most interesting person in the world. She asked questions, laughed at the right moments, didn't talk down to her or treat her like a kid who didn't matter. Lucas watched them and felt something shift in his chest. This wasn't pretend anymore. After dinner, they walked back to the apartment. The night was cool, the streets mostly empty. Mia held Lucas's hand and chattered about dessert. They'd split a piece of tiramisu and how she'd never had coffee-flavored cake before. At the apartment door, Mia looked up at Isabella. "Will you come back?" she asked. "If your dad wants me to, I'd like that very much." Mia turned to Lucas. "Do you want her to come back?" "Yeah, baby girl, I do." "Good, me too." Mia yawned. "I'm tired. Can I watch TV before bed?" Half an hour. Then teeth in bed. Mia ran upstairs. Lucas and Isabella stood on the sidewalk, the garage door behind them, the city humming around them. "She's amazing," Isabella said. "She's exhausting." "That too, but mostly amazing." Isabella tucked her hair behind her ear. "Thank you for tonight, for letting me meet her properly. Thank you for passing inspection." "Did I?" "With flying colors." The elephant answer really sealed it. Isabella laughed. It was a real laugh, unguarded and genuine. Lucas realized he'd never heard her laugh like that before. "So," she said, "what happens now?" "Now we figure out what this is, without the board meetings and the corporate drama." "That sounds terrifying." "Yeah, it does." They stood there for a moment. Then Isabella stepped forward and kissed him, quick and soft and over, before Lucas could fully process it. "Was that okay?" she asked. "Very okay." "Good, because I've been wanting to do that since the terrace at the gala." "Really?" "Really. You looked so out of place in that tuxedo, but you wore it like you belonged there anyway. That took courage." "I was faking it." "So was I. We all were. But you didn't let them make you feel small. That's rare." Lucas thought about the past 2 weeks, the gala, the board meeting, standing up to Marcus. All of it had felt like playing a role in someone else's story. But this, standing on a sidewalk with a woman who made him feel awake for the first time in years, this felt like his story. "Can I take you out next time?" he asked. "Somewhere that's not a business function or a fake date?" "I'd like that." "Where would we go?" "I don't know yet. Somewhere normal. Maybe a movie, or that place by the river that does live music." Normal sounds perfect. Isabella's phone buzzed. She checked it and sighed. "I have to go. Early meeting tomorrow with the board. We're restructuring some departments." "On a Saturday?" "No rest for the CEO." "That's a terrible work-life balance," says the man who works until midnight fixing cars. "Touché." They said goodnight. Isabella walked to her car. She'd driven herself in something that wasn't the Mercedes, and Lucas watched her leave. Then he went upstairs to find Mia already in her pajamas, sprawled on the couch with her stuffed rabbit. "I like her," Mia announced. "I know. You made that clear at dinner." "Are you going to marry her?" Lucas choked on nothing. "What?" "No, we just started. Whatever this is." "But maybe someday?" "Maybe. I don't know. It's complicated." "It doesn't seem complicated. You like her. She likes you. That's how it works." "When did you become an expert on relationships?" "I read books, and I pay attention." Mia looked at him seriously. "Do you think Mommy would be okay with it? You liking someone else?" Lucas sat down next to his daughter and pulled her close. "Yeah, baby girl. I think Mommy would want us to be happy, both of us." "I think so too. She was always saying life was too short to be sad all the time." "She did say that. A lot." They sat together watching some cartoon about talking animals. Lucas barely followed the plot. His mind was still on Isabella. On the way, she'd looked at Mia like she mattered, on the kiss that had been over too fast, on the possibility of something real. The next few weeks fell into a pattern.
Lucas ran the garage during the day. Isabella ran her company. They texted constantly, stupid jokes, updates about their days, photos of things that made them think of each other. They saw each other when they could. Coffee on Tuesday morning before work, lunch on Thursday at a diner halfway between their worlds, dinner on Saturday nights, sometimes with Mia, sometimes just the two of them. It wasn't smooth. Isabella's schedule was insane. Board meetings, press conferences. A lawsuit filed by Marcus's legal team claiming wrongful termination, even though he'd been charged with federal crimes. Lucas's garage was still struggling, better than before, but not exactly thriving. But they made it work. One Saturday in late November, Lucas took Isabella to Mia's soccer game. It was freezing cold, and the field was mostly mud, and Mia's team lost spectacularly. But Isabella cheered like it was the World Cup. Afterward, they got hot chocolate at the concession stand. Mia ran off to play with her teammates while Lucas and Isabella sat in the bleachers. "I have no idea what I'm watching," Isabella admitted. "What's offsides?" "Honestly, I'm still not totally sure. But Mia likes it, so I pretend to understand." "You're a good dad." "I'm a dad who's making it up as he goes." That's what good dads do. They watched Mia chase her friends around the field, their laughter carrying across the cold air. "I got the final settlement from Marcus's lawsuit," Isabella said. He dropped it. His lawyers advised him to focus on his criminal defense. "That's good news." "Yeah. Robert says the SEC trial is set for March. Thompson and Reeves both took plea deals. They're testifying against Marcus. So it's really over. The legal part, mostly. The company's still recovering. Stock's up, though. We launched the new tech division last week. Early feedback is positive." "Your dad would be proud." Isabella was quiet for a moment. "I hope so. I think about him every day. Wonder if I'm doing this right." "You are." "How do you know?" "Because you care. Because you're trying. That's all anyone can do." Mia ran over, covered in mud and grinning. "Did you see my goal?" Lucas and Isabella looked at each other. There had been no goal. "I saw you almost score," Lucas said diplomatically. "It was so close. Coach said I'm getting better." "You're definitely getting better." Mia looked at Isabella. "Are you coming to dinner tonight? If that's okay with you guys." "It's okay. We're having tacos. Daddy makes good tacos." "Then I wouldn't miss it." They drove back to the apartment in Lucas's truck. Isabella insisted on experiencing what she called authentic working-class transportation. The truck rattled and smelled like oil and had a crack in the windshield, but she didn't seem to mind. At the apartment, Lucas made tacos while Mia showed Isabella her latest drawings. They were elaborate scenes of dolphins and underwater cities, rendered in crayon with the kind of confidence only an 8-year-old possessed. "These are incredible," Isabella said. "I want to be a marine biologist when I grow up." "That's a great goal. What did you want to be when you were my age?" Isabella thought about it. "I wanted to be a teacher. I liked the idea of helping people learn things." "Why didn't you?" "Life took me in a different direction, but I still get to help people, just in different ways." They ate tacos at the small kitchen table. Mia told terrible jokes she'd learned at school. Isabella laughed at all of them, even the ones that didn't make sense. After dinner, Mia asked if Isabella wanted to see her room. "I'd love to." Lucas cleaned up while they disappeared down the hall. He could hear Mia's voice explaining each toy and poster and carefully arranged collection of library books. When they came back, Mia was holding Isabella's hand. "Isabella said she'd teach me about her company sometime. I want to see what a CEO does." "We'll arrange a field trip," Isabella said, "if your dad says it's okay." "It's okay," Lucas said. "Just don't let her reorganize your filing system. She has opinions about organization." "I do not. You color-coded my tool drawer last month." "It needed it. The wrenches were all mixed up." Isabella smiled. "I like her more every day." After Mia went to bed, Lucas and Isabella sat on the couch with coffee. The apartment was quiet except for the radiator hissing and the distant sound of traffic. "This is nice," Isabella said. "What is?" "This. Normal life. No drama. No board meetings. Just being. It's not always this calm. I know. But I'll take it when I can get it." Lucas set down his coffee. "Can I ask you something?"
Sure. Where do you see this going? Us, I mean. Isabella turned to face him. Honestly, I have no idea. I've never done this before. Real dating, real relationship. My entire adult life has been work. Same. Well, work and raising Mia, but the relationship part, I haven't done that since Sarah. Does that scare you? Terrifies me. But in a good way, I think. Me too. Isabella took his hand. I don't know where this goes, but I know I want to find out. Is that enough? Yeah, that's enough. They sat there holding hands, two people who'd started as strangers and somehow become something more. Outside, the city kept moving. Inside, for the moment, everything was still. December came with the first real snow. Lucas was under a Honda Civic when his phone rang. He rolled out, wiping grease from his hands, and answered. Hayes Auto. Lucas, it's Robert Chen. Lucas sat up. Is everything okay? More than okay. I'm calling with news. The board voted this morning. They're offering you a position. Offering me what? A consulting position. Head of Community Outreach. The idea is to develop programs that connect Vaughan Industries with small businesses, training, microloans, mentorship. Isabella's been pushing for it since she took over, and the board finally approved the budget. Lucas's brain struggled to process this. You want me to work for Vaughan Industries? We want you to help us do what your father-in-law wanted, build things that matter. You understand small business because you live it. That perspective is valuable. I run a garage, Robert. I don't know anything about corporate programs. That's exactly why we need you. We have plenty of people who know corporate. We need someone who knows real life. I need to think about it. Take your time. But Lucas, Isabella didn't ask me to call you. This came from the board. They saw what you did during the Marcus situation. They respect you. After Robert hung up, Lucas sat there on his creeper, staring at the underside of the Civic. A job offer from a multi-billion-dollar company. It was insane. It was also an opportunity he couldn't ignore. That night he told Mia and Isabella over dinner at the Italian place. Mia's eyes went wide. Does that mean you'd work with Isabella? Not directly, different departments. But yeah, same company. That's so cool. You could have lunch together and everything. Isabella had been quiet, letting Lucas explain. Now she spoke. What do you want to do? I don't know. Part of me thinks I'd be crazy to turn it down. The money alone would change our lives. Lucas gestured around the restaurant. But another part thinks I'd be selling out. The garage is mine. It's what I built. You don't have to choose one or the other, Isabella said. Hire someone to run the garage day to day. Tommy could do it. He's been asking for more hours anyway. Tommy's great, but he's not ready to run the whole operation. Then train him or hire a manager. There are options. Lucas rubbed his face. This is a lot. I know, but it's a good problem to have. What do you think I should do? Isabella reached across the table and took his hand. I think you should do whatever makes you happy. Not what makes sense financially. Not what looks good. What makes you happy? Lucas thought about the garage, about early mornings and late nights and the satisfaction of fixing something broken. Then he thought about the consulting position, about helping other people build what he'd built, about making a real difference. I need to talk to Tommy, he said finally. The next morning, Lucas called Tommy into the office. Tommy Chen was Mrs. Chen's grandson, 23, fresh out of trade school, covered in tattoos and attitude. But he was also the best mechanic Lucas had ever worked with. What's up, boss? Lucas explained the offer. Tommy's expression shifted from confusion to excitement to something that looked like panic. You're leaving? Not leaving, but maybe stepping back. If I did, could you run this place? Run it? Like be in charge? Yeah, day-to-day operations, scheduling, customer service, all of it. Tommy was quiet for a long moment. That's a lot of responsibility. I know, but I think you can handle it. What if I screw it up? Then we figure it out together. I'd still be around, just not every day, all day. Tommy looked around the garage, the tools, the lifts, the oil stains on the concrete floor. This place means something to you. It does. That's why I need someone I trust running it. Okay, yeah, I'll do it. You sure? Hell yeah, I'm sure. When do I start?
They spent the next week transitioning responsibilities. Lucas showed Tommy the books, the supplier contacts, the quirks of their regular customers. It wasn't perfect. Tommy had a lot to learn, but it was working. Lucas called Robert back on a Friday afternoon. "I'll take the job, but I need 2 conditions." "Name them." "First, I keep ownership of the garage. It's still mine, even if I'm not there every day." "Agreed." "Second, I want input on which businesses get selected for the programs. No corporate favoritism. We help the people who actually need it." "That's the whole point, so yes, agreed." "Then I'm in." Welcome to Vaughn Industries, Lucas. He started the Monday after New Year's. The office they gave him was on the 37th floor, smaller than Isabella's, but still nicer than anywhere he'd ever worked. Windows overlooking the city. A desk that didn't wobble. Coffee that didn't taste like burnt water. His assistant was a sharp young woman named Jennifer, who organized his calendar with terrifying efficiency. "You have orientation at 9, she said on his first day. Lunch with the community outreach team at noon. Meeting with Ms. Vaughn at 2 to discuss program goals. Lucas looked at the schedule and felt overwhelmed. "This is every day? This is a light day. Wait until we launch the first pilot program." The work was harder than he'd expected. Not physically, he missed the physical labor of the garage, but mentally. Every decision had implications. Every program needed approval from 3 different departments. Everything took longer than it should. But it also mattered. By March, they'd launched pilot programs in 5 cities, small business mentorship, equipment loans, training workshops. Lucas traveled to each location, meeting with mechanics and contractors and shop owners who reminded him of himself 5 years ago. "This is incredible," one woman told him in Detroit. "I've been trying to expand for 3 years. Couldn't get a bank loan because I didn't have collateral. Your program gave me the equipment I needed. Now I can hire 2 more people." Those moments made the meetings and the paperwork and the corporate bureaucracy worth it. Isabella's trial testimony against Marcus happened in early April. Lucas sat in the courtroom gallery with Robert and Helen, watching Isabella take the stand. She was composed, professional. She laid out the timeline of events with precision, never once letting emotion cloud her testimony. Marcus's lawyer tried to rattle her, suggested she'd orchestrated everything to frame her cousin, implied she was too inexperienced to understand what had really happened. Isabella didn't break. "I understand exactly what happened," she said. "Marcus Vaughn committed fraud. He leaked confidential documents. He manipulated stock prices. And he did it because he couldn't accept that someone else was chosen to lead. That's not a failure of understanding. That's a failure of character." The jury deliberated for 6 hours. Guilty on all counts. Marcus was sentenced to 8 years in federal prison. Isabella didn't attend the sentencing. She was in her office when Robert called with the news. Lucas was there too. They'd been reviewing quarterly reports for the community outreach programs. "It's over," she said after hanging up. 8 years. How do you feel?" "Tired, relieved, sad." She looked at Lucas. He was family, complicated, toxic family, but still family. "I didn't want it to end this way." "I know, but I'm glad it's over. We can finally move forward." They did move forward. Vaughn Industries thrived. Stock prices stabilized and then climbed. The tech division launched 3 successful products. The community outreach programs expanded to 12 cities. Lucas's garage did better too. Tommy turned out to be a natural manager. Revenue was up 30%. They'd hired 2 more mechanics, and Lucas and Isabella kept seeing each other. Not every day. Their schedules were still insane, but regularly, consistently. They figured out how to make it work. Mia turned 9 in May. Isabella came to the birthday party at the park, a small gathering of school friends and neighbors. She brought a telescope as a gift. "For studying marine biology," she explained. "Stars and oceans aren't that different. Both are vast and mostly unexplored." Mia loved it. She hugged Isabella tight and whispered something in her ear that made Isabella smile. Later, Lucas asked what Mia had said. "She said I was part of the family now, if I wanted to be." "And what did you say?" "I said I'd like that very much." They were sitting on a park bench, watching Mia and her friends chase each other around the playground. The sun was setting, painting everything gold. "Lucas," Isabella said, "can I ask you something?" "Of course." Would you want to move in together? Eventually, I mean, not right now, but sometime in the future. Lucas felt his heart rate pick up. Where would we live? I don't know. Maybe somewhere in between my world and yours. A place that's ours. That's a big step. I know, but I've been thinking about what I want my life to look like, outside of work. And I want it to include you and Mia, if that's something you want too. Lucas thought about the apartment above the garage, about 3 years of barely surviving, about the life he'd built from nothing. Then he thought about the possibility of something more. Yeah, he said. I want that too. They found a place in June, a house in a neighborhood halfway between downtown and Lucas's garage. 3 bedrooms, a yard for Mia, close to good schools. Nothing fancy, but solid. Mia claimed the biggest bedroom and immediately started planning how to decorate it. Lucas took the smallest room because he didn't need much space. Isabella got the middle bedroom, which she promptly converted into a home office. Moving day was chaos. Lucas's furniture barely filled one room. Isabella's stuff came in trucks. Designer pieces that looked out of place next to Lucas's second-hand couch. But they made it work. They painted walls, assembled furniture, argued about where to hang pictures, ordered pizza when they got too tired to cook. By the end of the day, the house looked like a collision between 2 different worlds. It looked perfect. That night, after Mia was asleep, Lucas and Isabella sat on the back porch with wine. I can't believe we did this, Isabella said. Having second thoughts? Not even a little. You? No, but ask me again when Mia starts leaving dolphin books all over your office. I look forward to it. They sat in comfortable silence, listening to the neighborhood settle for the night. Dogs barking, someone practicing piano, the distant hum of traffic. Do you ever think about how we got here? Isabella asked. 2 weeks ago, you were a stranger who walked into my garage. Now we're sitting on our porch. Best $20,000 I ever made. Isabella laughed. Is that all this was? A business transaction? Started that way. Became something else. What did it become? Lucas thought about it. About the gala and the board meetings and the moment on the terrace when he'd first seen past Isabella's armor. About Mia's interrogation at the Italian restaurant. About every small moment that had led them here. Family, he said finally. It became family. Isabella took his hand. Yeah, it did. 6 months later, on a cold Saturday in December, Lucas proposed. Not with a fancy ring or an elaborate plan. Just the 2 of them in the kitchen, making breakfast while Mia watched cartoons in the living room. Marry me, he said. Isabella looked up from the eggs she was scrambling. What? Marry me. Make this official. You're serious. Completely serious. I want to spend my life with you. I want Mia to have the family she deserves. I want us to stop wondering what comes next and just commit to figuring it out together. Isabella set down the spatula. You don't have a ring. I'll get you a ring, the biggest ring you've ever seen, or a small one, whatever you want. I don't need a ring. Is that a yes? She crossed to him and kissed him, soft and certain and full of promise. Yes, it's a yes. They told Mia over breakfast. Her reaction was to jump up and down, screaming, I knew it, I knew it. Mrs. Chen owes me $5. You bet on us getting married? Lucas asked. She said you'd wait until next year. I said this year. I was right. The wedding was small, just close friends and family at the house they'd made together. Mrs. Chen officiated, having gotten ordained online specifically for the occasion. Mia was the maid of honor, wearing a dress she'd picked out herself. Robert and Helen came. Tommy and the garage crew. People from Vaughn Industries. Neighbors. The parents of Mia's friends. It wasn't fancy. The food was catered from the Italian restaurant. The decorations were mostly handmade. Someone's kid knocked over the cake before they could cut it. It was perfect. Lucas stood at the makeshift altar in their backyard, watching Isabella walk toward him, and felt like his life had finally come into focus. She wasn't wearing white. She'd chosen a simple blue dress that matched her eyes. Her hair was down. No jewelry except the earrings her father had given her. She looked like herself. When she reached him, she was smiling. Hi, she said. Hi. Mrs. Chen cleared her throat.
We're gathered here today to witness the marriage of two people who found each other in the most unlikely way. Lucas and Isabella, would you like to say your vows? Lucas hadn't written anything down. He spoke from the heart. Isabella, 2 years ago, you walked into my garage and offered me $20,000 to pretend to be your boyfriend. I thought you were crazy. Turns out you were just desperate. But so was I. We were both trying to survive in our own ways. And somehow, we found each other. You made me remember what it felt like to fight for something, to hope for something, to believe that life could be more than just getting through the day. I love you. And I promise to keep fighting, keep hoping, keep believing, for as long as we both live. Isabella was crying. She wiped her eyes and laughed. I didn't write anything either. But here goes. Lucas, you were the first person in years who treated me like a human being instead of a title or a bank account. You stood up for me when you didn't have to. You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. You showed me that life doesn't have to be about power or control or proving yourself. It can be about tacos on Saturday nights and soccer games and stupid jokes at the breakfast table. I love you. And I promise to be present, to be real, to be yours, for as long as we both live. Mrs. Chen was crying too. By the power vested in me by the internet, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Lucas, you may kiss your bride. He did. Everyone cheered. Mia loudest of all. The reception lasted until midnight. People danced in the living room. The neighbors complained about the noise and then joined the party. Someone started a conga line. Lucas found Isabella on the back porch around 11, taking a break from the chaos. You okay? He asked. Perfect, just needed air. He sat down next to her. Through the window, they could see Mia teaching Robert how to do the floss dance. He was terrible at it. We did it, Isabella said. We did. I keep waiting for something to go wrong. It won't, or it will, and we'll handle it. How can you be so sure? Because we've already survived the worst. Everything else is just details. Isabella leaned her head on his shoulder. I never thought I'd have this. A home, a family, someone who loves me for me and not what I can give them. Well, you do now. You're stuck with us. Good. I don't want to be anywhere else. They sat there watching their wedding reception unfold through the window, watching Mia laugh with their friends, watching their two worlds collide and merge into something new. A year later, Isabella stood at a podium in front of 300 employees. The annual Vaughn Industries meeting. It had become tradition, a chance to update everyone on the company's progress, celebrate wins, address challenges. Lucas sat in the front row with Mia. His daughter was 10 now, already showing signs of the sharp intelligence that would carry her far. She held a notebook, taking notes like she was covering a presidential address. This year has been extraordinary, Isabella said. Revenue is up 18%. We've expanded into 4 new markets. Our community outreach programs have helped over 2,000 small businesses. And we've maintained our commitment to our employees, no layoffs, increased benefits, and a work environment that values people over profit. Applause filled the room. But I want to talk about something else, Isabella continued. 2 years ago, I almost lost this company. I was fighting to prove myself, fighting to honor my father's legacy, fighting alone. And I was losing. The room went quiet. Then something unexpected happened. Someone walked into my life who had no reason to help me, who didn't care about my money or my position, who just saw someone who needed help and decided to show up. That person taught me that business isn't about control or power. It's about connection, community, building things that matter. She looked at Lucas. My husband likes to say he's just a mechanic who got lucky, but he's wrong. He's someone who understands that fixing what's broken, whether it's a car or a company or a life, requires the same thing. You have to care, you have to be present, you have to be willing to get your hands dirty. Mia elbowed Lucas. She's talking about you. I know, baby girl. That's what Vaughn Industries is going to be about going forward, Isabella said. Caring, being present, getting our hands dirty, building things that last, not because it's profitable, though it is, but because it's right. More applause. People were standing now. Isabella wrapped up her speech and came down to join Lucas and Mia. Good speech, Lucas said. Too sappy? Perfect amount of sappy. Mia hugged Isabella. You were amazing.
I took notes for my school project. What's the project? We have to write about someone we admire. I'm writing about you.
Isabella's eyes went bright. Mia, I'm honored. It's true. You're really cool. You run a company and still have time to help with my homework. That's impressive. They walked out together, the three of them, into a future that was uncertain and messy and absolutely theirs. 2 years after that, Lucas stood in Mia's room helping her pack for summer camp. She was 12 now, tall and confident and completely her own person. The walls of her room were covered with marine biology posters and photos of friends and a drawing she'd made of their family, 3 people holding hands. Did you pack your telescope? Lucas asked. Yes, Dad. I packed everything, twice. Sunscreen? Yes. Bug spray? Dad, I've got it. I promise. Isabella appeared in the doorway. The car's here. You ready? Mia grabbed her bag. Ready. They drove her to the camp bus pickup point, a parking lot full of excited kids and nervous parents. Mia hugged them both goodbye. 2 weeks, she said. I'll email when I can. Have fun. Learn about dolphins, Lucas said. I will. Love you guys. Love you too, baby girl. They watched the bus drive away. Then they stood there in the empty parking lot, just the two of them. She's growing up, Isabella said. Too fast. What do we do for 2 weeks without her? Lucas thought about it. Take a vacation? Sleep in? Remember what it's like to be alone? All of the above. They went home to their house, the place they'd made together. It was messier now, more lived in, photos on every surface, Mia's school projects cluttering the fridge, evidence of a life fully inhabited. Lucas made dinner. Isabella opened wine. They ate on the back porch, watching the sunset. Do you ever think about that first night? Lucas asked. When you showed up at my garage? All the time. If you could go back, would you do anything different? Isabella considered it. No, I don't think so. It was messy and complicated and terrifying, but it brought me here, to you, to Mia, to this life. I wouldn't change that for anything. Me neither. They sat in the golden light of early evening, 2 people who'd started as strangers and become everything to each other. A mechanic and a CEO. A single father and a woman fighting for her legacy. 2 worlds that shouldn't have connected, but did anyway. And in that connection, they'd found something neither of them had been looking for. They'd found home. Years later, when people asked how they met, Lucas and Isabella would tell the story about the garage and the gala and the $20,000 proposition, about board meetings and corporate warfare and a little girl who asked all the important questions. But what they didn't talk about, what they kept just for themselves, were the small moments in between, the terrace conversation, the first real dinner, the way they'd learned to trust each other piece by piece. Those moments were theirs, and they were enough. More than enough. They were everything.